You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 24th, 2024 meeting of the LaPorte County 2025 Budget Hearing, Part 3. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning. We're going to resume 2025 budget hearings this morning. First off, we're going to hear from General Insurance. So if you guys like to come up, give your 4.5 minute presentation. I'm just kidding.
Sounds good.
They only planned 3, so they'll have to stretch it.
Yeah.
Good morning. So I'm Craig Menny, President of General Insurance Service. This is my colleague Eric Gibson. And yeah, we're here just to share where things stand from the perspective of looking at the 2025 major medical renewal. So we do have a summary based on quotes we've received to date. Is it all right if Eric hands those out? Okay. Try to keep this as simple and straightforward as possible. As we've discussed in years past, the county maintains a partially self-funded health plan. So UMR, United Healthcare, is the administrator. That's the network that the employees and their families are able to utilize. And then Berkeley's the stop-loss insurance company. So for really large claims, we buy reinsurance to help provide some financial stability in tough claims years. So just kind of wanted to explain again, UMR is the administrator, Berkeley's the current stop-loss carrier. So presently, on the illustration that is being distributed, so we put the current, the current lineup here in 2024. So as I mentioned, UMR is the administrator, Berkeley's the stop-loss carrier. Total expected annual health plan costs current year, 2024, are just under 11.5 million. So it's 11,468,668. Again, self-funded. This is what the actuaries predict the cost would be in a typical year. It can vary up, it can vary down, but in a typical plan year, the expected is the number to really focus on from a budgeting perspective. The initial renewal from Berkeley, and this is an indication, we don't have the actual document, we expect that in the next couple of days, but what Berkeley's indicated is we're likely to fall in a 3.2% range from an increase perspective. So that's illustrated under current. So the 11.8 million is what that would look like, assuming no plan changes, again, no changes from UMR, et cetera. So the 3.2% increase would equate to roughly $367,000 over the course of the next year. So again, that's kind of the current apples to apples.
Could you clarify, if I may, sir? Could you clarify the eStyle / Berkeley, same thing?
Yes.
Is our cost to that in the 11.8, or that's Berkeley only? Oh, I'm sorry, it's a stop-loss carrier. It is, Berkeley. Oh, it is UMR, administrator, stop-loss carrier, Berkeley.
It includes.
Right. So you're talking about the non-premium, the collateral. Yeah.
Well, we write them a check.
60 to 80.
Right. Correct. Yeah. That's contemplated in that.
Is that in there?
It is. Yep.
It is, okay.
Yep. As part of the Berkeley program at all.
What?
Yep.
They don't do anything.
As a follow-up question, this only is the UMR and the Berkeley. It wouldn't contain things like the employee health clinic or any of the other things that we might offer.
No, precisely. That's correct. Yeah. So we indicated at the bottom there under just the additional comments. So this relates to either UMR, Anthem, stop loss, and then let's see. So I'm sorry, Kim put this. So the captive collateral is not included, Tim. My apologies. Yeah.
You told me before it wasn't.
Okay. So the captive collateral is not included. Captive distributions are also not included. So funds that get returned from the captive are not contemplated. We don't know what those are. Prescription rebates are not included. Those run about $250,000 a quarter directionally. So again, those are not included here.
And ongoing,
Nor do the
don't we
clinic
pay? Don't we pay ongoing costs to Berkeley also for each employee?
It should be in.
Yes, that's included here.
Okay.
Right.
That is
The premium.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, captive collateral. I'm sorry to belabor this, but captive collateral is kind of considered an investment. I mean, you may have to add to it, you may not. So, is that why it's not included?
So it's technically non-premium funding. So no, you wouldn't have to pay more.
Right. It's non-premium funding, so it's almost considered like your equity in.
Correct. That's what entitles the return of the premium, yeah, in positive claims years.
But in positive.
It's also at risk if the captive as a whole runs worse, those dollars could be used to pay claims. But there's not a scenario in which they come back and say, hey, you've got to write an excess check above that amount for the captive purchase.
So this is covering the materiality and the essence of what Berkeley / East Isles.
Yeah, absolutely,
costs.
absolutely.
That's in 11.8.
Right.
And of course, the 11.8 is the 85% is what the employer is paying. The employee is 15% that's theirs that they contribute. So that wouldn't be in the 11.8 million, right?
So the 11.8 is the gross amount. What percentage of that the employees pay is up to you guys.
Okay.
This is just literally the gross amount. So yeah, we're not sort of the internal financial accounting. We're not doing that. We're just telling you here's what we would expect.
Please continue.
Okay, gladly. The other most competitive stop loss offer we received is from a firm called Symetra. Really, alternative one is what that's outlining. Significantly higher projection there, so that's a non-starter.
You went
obviously.
out and shopped
Correct. Yeah. And we're awaiting several other stop loss quotes. We're awaiting Anthem's quote. And so that's, again, kind of from a self-funded perspective, that's the lay of the land as we sit here this morning. Alternative 3 would be an additional option that we've quoted. It's called an ICRA, an individual coverage health reimbursement arrangement. This would be a pretty marked change in philosophy. Essentially, what the strategy would do, it's emerging. That's how I would characterize it. The strategy is that the federal law allows an employer to disband their group health plan, and in the place of it, provide a tax-preferred premium reimbursement for individual policies. So today, for example, in Northwest Indiana, Territory 1, in the state, there's really 3 carriers. There's really CareSource and Ambetter are the 2 primary players here in Northwest Indiana. So this would look like the employees then could choose any plan they wanted offered by these carriers. The county then would provide X amount of dollars per employee, and they're free to choose the plan that best fits their needs for their and their family. So the individual marketplace is a little bit more stable. One of the net effects of the ACA is providing some stability in that risk pool. They're running roughly 5% increases per year. But more pointedly, the delta here to move to that strategy looking to 2025 would represent a roughly $3 million savings. So that's what's reflected in alternative 3. Yeah, Mike.
Do we have I believe the amount is $4,200 a year unless that's changed, that we can reimburse each person.
It indexes, right. But so here the strategy is specifically setting out a kind of a specific reimbursement schedule for each employee. So it does vary by age. It varies by tobacco utilization. Those are really the 2 kind of main parameters other than where they live. Yeah.
But that'll be on their premium side.
Right.
But the county is going to have one fixed number for.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And again, this would be the total number, the 8.4 million. So this is apples to apples from the standpoint of today's spend is 11.5. This would be roughly 8.5 moving in that direction. The biggest problem comes from a network equivalency perspective. Right now, one of the benefits of UMR, it's a national network. United Healthcare's network is national. You go pretty much anywhere you want. Far from perfect, but pretty broad. The individual policies are much more restrictive. Typically HMO type products. So you need to be seeing a provider in the state of Indiana. Coverage in Indiana is pretty decent. Outside of Indiana, it's terrible. So the biggest impact for the health plan today, you've got a significant spend at University of Chicago and Northwestern in Chicago, right? Those 2 big major teaching hospitals. In the individual marketplace under this ICRA option, neither one of those hospitals are in network. So folks would need to move care from Chicago to presumably Indianapolis, Lafayette, someplace like that would be in state. So I don't want to give anyone the false impression this is a true apples to apples, but again, from a due diligence perspective, like you all need to know that this is an emerging strategy. And
does the reimbursement premium go directly to the employee, or does the county pay the provider?
No, good question. It does not. So reimbursement would be a little bit of a misnomer. We have a platform which would provide for online and face-to-face enrollment. So we bring support to the employees to help them select the right plan. And then it's really set up on kind of a similar to today, the employee's portion of the premium would be withheld, and then on a monthly basis, the total premium remitted to the insurance company. So it's still going to look and feel like the group health plan from that perspective. But yeah, it's not.
Got it. Yeah. No, Mr. Yagowski.
How about you?
Sorry.
Probably about 14 years ago, whatever, the mills tried that shop and go type process. But what happened a lot of times is that yearly they would change and say, okay, now you're no longer in this network. It would change because they're going to shop and get the best they can get also. So we didn't even get the best selection of Indiana. It was a pick and choose type thing. And so my doctor, who I had in there, the following year was no longer. People had to switch doctors. So it's the bait and switch type thing. I hate to say it that way, but it's a difficult. We finally got out of it. It was a disaster in that respect. Of course, we have 5,000 employees, so it's a little different. But it doesn't always work the way it's spelled out.
800.
Again, I 100% agree. So again, just this is due diligence, letting you guys know we're turning over every rock from a fiscal perspective. Really, I think the move here is kind of in the private sector. It's a move from pensions to defined contribution in the retirement plan space, right? So now worrying about, well, these are our expected cost. What is it in a really bad year? You're out of that game. You're just setting a budget, and folks are buying the plan that they want. So again, there's some flexibility to select. If they don't like and better, they can move to CareSource, but it doesn't solve for the problem of limited networks, thin networks, right? Disruption to physicians. So,
Correct.
And again, this is not us making a recommendation. This is just sharing. Like this has been helpful in terms of negotiating with Berkeley, if nothing else.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Keel.
Can you clarify, like right now, our group health insurance, we offer 3 price points, employee plus spouse, family. Under this alternative 3, the ICRA, would the prices vary depending on the age of the employee, and is there a potential that some employees might be paying significantly more than they pay today?
You could design, if you stuck with the 83, 85%, whatever that number is, yeah, there's a handful of people that would pay more. But you could, with some of the savings, you could also dial that in. So, for example, we've done the break even, it's roughly 90%. If you said we're going to cover 90% of the cost, then yes, every single employee would see their costs either stay the same or go down. In some cases, go down significantly. To your point, depending on which plan they're purchasing today.
For less insurance, though.
Options,
less.
Right.
It's not apples to apples, and
Right.
we're going to save you money.
Right. So then some of the, absolutely, right. And I think, so both from a legal and tax perspective today, the 11.5 million would be characterized as compensation, right? It's a tax preferred form of compensation. Does some of the 3 million in savings, were you to go down this path, get redirected in some type of compensation to allow for that? You can also look at flexible spending arrangements, health reimbursement arrangements. There's some things we can do on the plan design perspective to help support the employees and bring some parity from a financial perspective. So with that much money, yeah, again, there's some really creative stuff you could do to support the team and their family. Our hands are bound though in terms of the network, right? Those are just the insurance companies. We would expect and hope that the insurance companies themselves would begin to develop products that do a better job. So Ambetter may be bringing in Rush. They may be bringing in Amita Health out of Chicago. But again, Northwestern of Chicago, they're pretty fierce in terms of...
Is that even, I mean, even though Rush is based out of Chicago, they have offices, Chesterton, they would still be out of network, you think?
Yeah, we would need to look into that specifically. Yeah. Again, in Indiana, coverage tends to be pretty good.
Right.
So, but provider to provider, there could be, to Mark's point, there could be some disruption there. Yeah, that's...
Right.
I presume the ICRA option increases administrative overhead at the county level, or personnel, HR, or at least there's more time consumed.
Well, so no, I think in reality, it's probably, it lessens it because it's kind of it's a here's your amount, and then we've got a platform and then enrollers that help provide the support.
Who's we?
GIS.
Okay.
Yeah. And then where there's an issue with the insurance carrier, that's between. It'd be similar to someone's auto insurance today, right? Well, it's not the county's
Dealing with you.
Yeah, deal with either us and better. Yeah. So from that
An
perspective.
option. At least we're looking at all.
Yeah, precisely. So, didn't mean to venture too far afield. Again, just kind of wanted to share. Here's where we're at. Anthem's numbers, again, we're expecting any day now. So we'll keep you posted. But again, as it relates to from a budgeting perspective, this 3.2 would be an appropriate percentage. I don't know how this number makes it into the budget historically. I think it would be just a kind of another question, but.
Great. Any other questions for Craig and General? Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and appreciate all of you as well. Yeah, thanks so much. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Is
Health Department, I do not have.
219. The last green tab, 219 is the health department.
Health Department, come on down. Good morning.
Morning.
Got it.
There's no general fund.
Go ahead. You want to lead off?
Me?
Yeah.
I got nothing yet.
Anything you want to open with, Amanda?
Well, this year, we will be receiving, excuse me, our full funding from the state for Health First Indiana. So our budget from the state that we'll be receiving will be going up to $2,621,000. We were just notified last week that we got an increase in $8,000. So it was $2,613,695.25. The counties has a minimum contribution that they have to put into our 1159 account, which is set by Indiana code, which is reflected in my budget.
Which is,
The minimum contribution the county has to provide is $548,000, $32.88.
Okay, we have in front of us the County Health Department Fund 1159, and we have 553,893. And in the 1161, which is, I believe, the local public health service, 2,490,955. So we have even less.
Correct. So I did have, hoping that my positions and raises will get approved for the nurses. So that would take up the rest of those remaining funds I have available. We're also with Health First Indiana. We have, allows us to be able to put money back into the community. So you'll see on the back, we have other services and charges of $406,500. Our plan is to be able to offer community grants, and also supply funds for hardship cases, for well repairs, septic repairs, for those people who are definitely in need. The state last year approved permanent pump and haul situations, which was never allowed before in the state of Indiana. So you can build a new home, or if you have a home, instead of having to condemn it, you can go on a pump and haul permit. Well, you have a 1,000-gallon tank in your backyard, hopefully at least 1,000-gallon tanks, and every time it fills up, you have to pump it out. So that could be weekly, that could be depending on your water use. But a lot of people struggle with that, just because of their financial situation, and we would be able to help with that.
Right. How's your current nurse situation?
Current nurse situation is I'm still down a nurse. which since I've taken over, we've been consistently either short 1 to 2 nurses.
Is there, without opening a can of worms, juvenile center's in the same boat with the nurse? Is there, have you given any consideration to contacting the sheriff's department, who they use for their medical, just to see if you can get a, for lack of a better term, a rent-a-nurse to fill in for that position until you find somebody?
So it's a very different type of nursing that the health department does as opposed to at those services. Those areas are providing acute care. The health department's not acute care. Other than providing immunizations, having a confidential services clinic, we don't stitch up, we don't dispense meds.
Do they maybe offer something similar to what you're, I'm just saying it might be
Yeah,
a short-term
looked into it?
fix.
probably not.
Okay,
Have you looked into it?
probably.
I can look into it.
Just to-
into it.
Just to see if there's something, you continue to advertise and try and find somebody, but maybe it would help you out in the short term. That's all.
Would it be comparable to what you would see in terms of a nurse that's in a workforce environment, like what you see in the mills or where I work or anything like that? Because we currently have contract nurses that will come in and they'll be there for years at a time. So it's not like we have a rotating, revolving door. But would it be similar to what the health department's doing, where it's workforce interaction, first aid situations,
No,
public health, things like that?
no, it's not. Yeah, it's not the same thing. So, yeah.
Immunization, those type of things could be.
Immunizations, I could easily bring on, well, not easily, but we could, look at either adding an MA position.
We
That
did-
would be
didn't
easier. I did. I gave up a nursing position
Right.
for an MA position
Because you couldn't find.
because I couldn't find a nurse, and that's worked good for us. We may be
Those are easier to find?
MAs are easier to find. We pay good for MA position. But it'd be better, we need that nurse.
But just trying to help get you staffed,
I understand.
so. What's your pleasure?
But getting us closer to, never, I'm sorry.
On the Count Health Department Fund 1159, motion to move forward as recommended.
Second.
Are we talking explicitly twos and threes?
Yep. Okay. Motion to approve 1159 as presented. Motion by Rosenbaum, second by Keel. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Next one is 1161.
On this one, I see that you have vehicles.
Yes, thank you for mentioning that. So 1161 does allow us to set aside 10% of our budget each year for capital expenditures for buildings, for rent, for vehicles. And that had been a plan, is to get my inspectors into vehicles so we're not using our private vehicles to do our job. We're out on the road every single day. And it's just not, yes, we get reimbursed, but it's not true. It's not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges.
What type of vehicles are we thinking of?
For my septic environmental health side, I would like vehicles that are either trucks or have 4-wheel, because we do go off road and through the mud to get to our sites. And then our food inspectors and every other day inspectors, nobody really offers cars anymore. We for the government program, so it'd be a small SUV like an Escape, or the Chevy has a Trax, I think it's called. That's a fleet vehicle. But if not, I don't know. I was at the meeting on Monday. If you're thinking of going in that other direction to a fleet, I would like to be included on that. And if not, then I would like to be able to purchase my vehicles. I'm already claiming them.
This is grant money that,
Yeah, and how many vehicles are you planning in that?
So this money is not grant, it's funding. It's not going away. I don't have to apply.
right. But
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
how many vehicles are you looking at?
A total probably close 8 vehicles.
But not only
This
a year.
would, this would be,
No. Oh, yeah.
right.
I got the money.
So you're gonna buy as many as you can within the first year.
Correct.
Then after that, that money would be freed up. until
That
you
money,
need vehicles
exactly.
again.
I'm not gonna need to set 10% aside every single year after so many years and after, my other building I've discussed with multiple people. After that, I don't need that money anymore. I can put it back into that budget and not hold it off for,
'Cause right now
capital improvements.
they're getting reimbursed for mileage.
They're getting reimbursed for mileage, yes.
Right.
But again, it's their insurance. If they're in an accident, it's their insurance. They pay the premiums. They're out their vehicle and they're doubling the mileage of your car that you're supposedly to put on it every year. So that's a great
What do you
depreciation.
pay per mile?
I'm sorry?
What do you pay per mile?
Whatever.
Well,
the-
like, county reimbursement is 58 cents a mile.
Okay, I happen to know a lot of people that actually like that idea, so I don't know where you come from, but a lot of people like and then take those checks.
So they do. Some people do.
I'm saying not
but-
everybody, but I said
Not everybody, but yeah, especially my septic inspectors, just getting them, they have to have a more substantial vehicle, which is a larger purchase price on their end if they don't already have a vehicle that's going to allow them to go off-road. And they drive every day of the year, all of my inspectors, every day of the year in adverse weather conditions, when it's ice, snow, rain. So having them in a newer vehicle and a vehicle that we're servicing and they don't have to worry about whether they're going to be able to put tires on it this year or not.
Got it.
I get it, but some people
Yeah,
like that.
I know.
So I
I did once upon a time, and I was like, woohoo! And
If
I
I
was like,
can-
wait a minute.
If I can ask a question, did you say 58 cents per mile?
I believe that's current rate.
60 cents.
Oh,
As of January, it was 60.
I think we went down.
We did not.
the price of gas went up.
We went to the middle. I remember the state was 60, or somebody was 65, and I believe it was Mr. Rosenbaum that suggested we meet in the middle at 60.
Okay.
The state was,
Minutes.
the state was
Double
lower,
check.
the IRS was higher.
I do
Yeah,
appreciate
IRS
you
is
saving
higher.
2 cents a mile. Though.
Hey, I'll be
Thank you.
sure to
Thank
fix
you.
Change the
that.
form.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Go ahead.
I'll double check
All right.
that. I'm
So
sorry.
I think we've belabored vehicles a little bit. So we're working way
I had a question on vehicles though, before we get up.
Go ahead.
Just quickly, so you'd have enough money then in your budget to maintain these vehicles, and where would you expect to have them maintained at?
So I could have them, I have enough money in my budget, I can either discuss that with the highway sheriff's department to see if they would maintain those vehicles, or I can have them maintained outside.
Place to store
Eight more vehicles,
other stuff at some point.
okay,
8 more vehicles for them to maintain, yes.
yeah,
We can't put that.
thank you, that's all I had.
Okay. So
Looking out at the fairground.
it's minor, but the $6,000 for equipment trailer is. Don't you currently have one, right?
So we currently have a mobile health clinic. So
Okay.
this would be a box trailer that's been on my emergency preparedness coordinator, her wish list for a long time, to be able to get that. Again, so we're not everybody gathering their large vehicles to fill it with our supplies to get us from point A to point B when we have to.
Okay. And then the other capital purchases, 95,369. I said that's pretty specific.
That's what I had left over.
Okay. All right. Any
Thoughts?
plans? Any thoughts, or is that just a wish
So-
list?
No, the plan going forward is would hopefully working. We've been talking with EMA and some other departments to have an off-site facility, to be able to store vehicles, to have a storage area, to have a small off-site office, where we could do our vector control. It's not something we like to do in the building.
Stuff isn't stored outside.
And stuff's not stored outside, exactly. Especially
with
like with
hazmat.
our trailer, then it's always plugged into shore power and it's always ready to go. It doesn't have to be winterized and we can use it throughout the year. So I have funds there. I have funds set aside in 1159 off to the side to add to that as well. But working together with those other departments, we can have something similar that they have like in Porter County.
Now, knowing that this doesn't go back to the general or lit or anything like that to help us out, but maybe to help you out, does it make sense to reduce that number in order to have it set aside for maybe something that you have more firm plans on for, let's say, 2026?
I have firm plans on it.
You do have firm plans on
Okay,
this
I have firm
95,000.
plans. I'd like to do it within the next couple of years. And I think talking with those other departments, that's how we would like to move forward. Again, that's not my final decision, but that's not, to me, that's not a 10-year down the road, 10-year project.
I'm not talking 10 year. I'm saying
Okay.
set it aside to where it's not there to spend, to where maybe you have it available to you in 26 because this money doesn't go back to
Accumulate the fund instead of,
No, it does. I get to keep that. They let, the
Yes.
state allows that set aside fund to continue to build indefinitely
Exactly.
for those purposes.
right. But I mean, if we take it out of, let's say, this 40112 account and leave it back in the called savings, right? That the state builds
Yes.
up again next year, and then you come to us next year and say, "Here's my plan," and it's rigid, it's tangible. To where if we were to reduce that down, does that help you out?
I think having talked to her plan is to do something next year. She's pushing, she's been pushing for a while to, I wouldn't say
As a
pushing.
follow-up,
Pushing is tough.
does the state allow us to, I mean, they want to see us doing something with this funding. Are they comfortable with money coming in, but us not actually budgeting all of your local public health service fund?
Is there a downside to that? If it shows that they give you this much, but we're holding on to, we're not spending it all?
No.
Oh, yes,
They
there
don't-
is. Oh, yes, there is. You just don't know.
Oh, so that too.
You just don't know about it. Trust me.
So are you talking about that being 2.4 and then
No.
when
It
it's
says
actually
we spend
2.6?
1.9 and we start accumulating.
We start banking this money. There's going to be.
Correct. So we can, again, if we are not exceeding that 10% of what our budget was, if we're not banking more than that 10%, it should be okay. We've also had to start banking some amount of money, knowing that in the future, this is kind of set in stone. Unless there's a change in legislation, they're not going to give us more money. And now the state has put that on them to fund the health departments. So starting to bank some of that money to be able to cover the difference in future raises and other increases like that.
Something so simple as we had that fund from the riverboat from the tow road. The state came down on us because we started a rainy day fund. Trust me, if your department's not just you, but if the department start putting this money in the bank and banking it, they'll find a way to take it back away from you.
They're gonna think you don't need it and
This is
find a way to
common.
take it.
This is a common way to do things down in Indianapolis.
Okay.
But then the state followed our lead and started a rainy
That's different. Yeah, that's true.
Right.
But I'm just saying.
To watch that. This is all new.
We had to watch our funds too. Some of the funds that we don't use.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. It's
Where you at with have we made any progress with the software that works with the building department? There was an issue with your septic, the program that you used and the program they use.
So they're even looking at it going to a different program.
But are you guys talking to see if it's compatible? So, cause we wanted it so that somebody files for permit, it comes to you, it goes to them, everybody can see everything at one time.
So we haven't had recent conversations on that
Okay.
now.
Just,
We can
that would be
take
the
up
ultimate
those
goal is that
conversations again.
software talks instead of,
It would be. There's just not. It's
Right.
a matter of finding the right one because there's nothing
Yep, I
right
agree.
now that either one of us use that does that.
right.
okay. Last question. Because I've been in GIS for quite some time. A lot of the health departments use GIS for different purposes. Have you ever looked at the possibility of using that with immunizations or anything, or outbreaks, or?
Yes, and we have worked with GIS on that. In the state, obviously, we don't have a current GIS person.
So if we were going to get one, would since you have some funding, would you be able to think that you could be able to help if we decide to go that direction?
Fund that person?
Fund that person. Help
I could
fund that?
help fund it, but not 100%.
Oh, I know. I know. No, help.
I'm more than happy to be able to do that.
Thank you.
Because that is very necessary. Brownie point.
Anything else?
940.
Yeah.
So I'll just wait a minute.
Amanda, 80%.
80%. Come on.
Do you have something? Anything else?
No, I'm concerned with the question, I'm being honest, I'm concerned with the question of not keeping it at maximum amount. bringing us to the maximum amount. The new number that you gave us, the 2,613,000 and change, and we only have it at 249,000, so we have $123,000 difference.
So I didn't add in there the positions up to that 2.6 number.
Am I missing?
What my
Dated version?
hopefully what my 144s will be in the future, adding those new positions that
I said she
were
didn't add them in
tabled.
there, so you're not missing anything.
Well, GIS is gonna take up a little bit of it.
There you go. Yeah, and I do apologize because the state did just give us that additional $8,000 that after all of
But
this
we
was
were-
already done, that I will have to already do an amended on that. So that can go towards GIS. Also that, again, those additional positions I have budgeted for, which will take us up to the 2.613.
Right. So, do we want to approve this and then maybe get an
Those
update
are
from you a little bit
100s.
later in the year? Just to see where you're at. I mean, if, assuming the commissioners get a GIS, you know what I mean, to see
Yeah.
where we get and with your other positions and what we do with that. So,
One other quick question. You talked about being short a nurse.
Yes, sir.
See that all your nurses are funded out of 1161.
Correct. All of our nurses, all our environmental staff are funded out of 1161, correct?
Okay. So I see that your reduction from last year of 162,000 from last year in nurses. Is that
I separated out the supervisors.
okay?
They went to a different column.
Got it. Just making sure you were accounting for all the positions, whether they're open or filled.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Motion to approve 1161.
Second.
motion by Justin, second by Adam. I do have a question, and I spoke to you briefly about this yesterday, and I received a phone call from a constituent. They were concerned about the health department increasing the cost of death certificates to $20 a copy. Was it 20 or 15?
They're going up to $15.
$15 per copy.
Correct.
Currently, it's 10,
Correct.
$8 for each additional.
Correct.
And the reason for the increase, I mean, here's my thing. I mean, it's a death certificate. People are having probably the worst time of their lives. And what's the justification for raising that one thing and not? Because I
So we had our fee ordinance approved by the commissioners for not just birth and death certificates.
Right.
We raised all of our fees. So the last time birth certificates were raised were over a decade ago, birth and death. So just looking at our costs and comparing to what other counties are charging, we felt that was an appropriate amount, and we are still either equal or half of what other counties are charging for those two.
I was told that we're charging a little bit more than what other counties are charging, but I could have wrong information.
Oh, there's 92 counties out there. Maybe there's.
Right.
I'm not.
Just seems like an odd way to shore up the budget.
But as I heard, you heard death certificates only. I heard
Other
say
things.
all of them.
Right. No, I get all of them, but are we not covering the cost of a death certificate? I mean, to me, that should be, we're covering the cost, and the cost is X number.
Birth and death certificate have to be placed on a specialized paper.
Right.
And there's like 2 vendors that we can get that paper from. I've already spent this year $10,000 on paper, and we'll have to do that again before the end of the year to
And you're
cover
not bringing enough money to cover that on the current cost that you're charging.
I could look at the breakdown to see what it is,
Just asking,
Yeah.
asking.
but then it's not just the paper; it's also everything else that goes along with that.
Get it?
I think this underscores the need to periodically increase fees because otherwise you get behind and you have to make a very large jump, and then people are more sensitive to it. That $10 a decade ago is probably not too far off from what that $15 is today.
Yeah. No, it is. With the commissioners, that over the last 12 years, from the last time we increased fees, it's like a 32% inflation rate across the board. And a lot of our other fees don't go up that far. We were trying to be reasonable, but trying to get them closer to where they needed to be.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. We have, wait a minute.
More.
I got more.
I'm sorry, the nay was, I'm sorry, the nay was,
Yagelski.
Yagelski.
okay, sounded like Rosie.
Would we want to take all of these together, given that they're all new and all small and?
I think you should do them separately. So
You're gonna,
only take a moment to do separate. We did
all
that
right,
in the
2704, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Cunningham, second by Karanka. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Just so everybody knows, these are new budget lines that we're putting in and just plugging in numbers to.
And none of these are
They're
going
my
to affect the
non-recurring.
general fund.
Previously unappropriated funds, correct?
Next item is 2705.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Cunningham, second by Keel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next one is 2711.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Cunningham, second by Keel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next one is 8259.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
The fight for.
Motion by Cunningham, second by Karanka. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next one is 9119.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Cunningham and Karanka. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Those opposed? Thank you.
So like I asked a question really quick, like you said, Monday night you would be discussing the new positions during budget hearings, or whether or not those are going to be approved or not approved.
So talk about your position. We're not doing 100 accounts right now, so, but talk, if you got a minute to go ahead and,
I went through job committee with two brand new positions, one a director of nursing and the other health education specialist school liaison position. To use with our 1161 funds to help us meet those core services that we are required under Indiana code to meet. So I was hoping I had those budgeted even for this year. My hope is to have them approved as soon as possible so I can hire those positions
you have the
before the
funding,
end of the
currently
year.
you have
I
the
currently
funding.
have the funding to fund both of those positions.
176 is juvenile.
Any thoughts? You wanna do something now, or you wanna wait?
I mean, I think it would probably be helpful for you if we were to give some sort of indication now, right?
Right, because under Indiana code now, also once those positions are approved, I have to advertise for a minimum of 30 days before we can even hire anybody.
And then if you add that into your budget, do you have to run that past the state health department in order to be able to spend those, or how does that already?
That's already been approved by
already
them.
Okay.
But again, so I would need to know, what the salary is approved at, so what I can advertise it at before.
Could we
even going to approve.
Could we do a motion of support now and then put it on our agenda at the next meeting to appropriate, make sure that it's in the budget?
I mean, we could, if we're doing it for 2025, we could do it right now.
Right, well, we could give her a motion of support for 2024 also, and then
You can
finalize it.
you can make motion on 100 counts, we just put them together as one branch. You can do anything you want to do.
Right.
It's our budget.
Yeah.
Right.
You want to go, if you want to do 100 counts on health, do 100 counts.
Just on this item, whatever, or the whole thing, so.
I think your situation is particularly unique since you're getting a very large infusion of new money from the state, and they specifically want you to be putting it into public health services.
Correct.
Right.
And that's very much, I make that clear, it's not county money I'm not taking from somebody else. This is funding I received, this is our
Only for-
allotment that we're receiving directly from
Motion
the
to
state of
approve the warrant
Indiana.
account for the said employees.
Second.
Motion by Yagowski, seconded by Keel.
Thank you.
This is a, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a motion of support.
No,
for
it's a
this-
motion-
listen, for this year, because
We can't do it this year.
we're not,
We can do it this year for the meeting. We can only do it this year. We can only do the budget for next year. That's all we can
Listen.
do. I'm listening. Go
we
ahead.
can do a motion of support for them to do it this year,
Start advertising.
start advertising, and at our next meeting, we will formalize it with an advertisement and everything else, if anything that needs to be, and approve it for next year.
Okay.
Because you have the funding for it to take effect in 2024, correct?
Correct.
Because we started getting that new public health funding this year.
Yes, we got,
This is a budget hearing. I don't know if you can do that. So
But it's an open formal meeting, I mean,
2025, that's it.
Motion of support doesn't really have any weight, so just saying it is saying it, I
We're
suppose.
Basically just asking you to advertise.
I'll put it in my motion. I'm just saying it.
all right.
Highly recommend that you come to the next council meeting with those
It'll be
items.
formalized, I mean, this, is-
Put it
yeah.
on the agenda for next month.
Also, your attorney's on the line if you.
I'm just
Something
saying that
clarified.
2024.
I'm asking for 2025 warrant accounts
Right, with the motion of support.
with the motion of support, yes.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Amanda,
Thank you.
are those numbers in here already, or do you want to get me another Form 144 to,
I can get you into the,
thank you.
yeah, yes, ma'am.
What? Proceed.
Thank you.
Yes.
You- You wanna sit
Hazmat.
down, Jeff, or you want us just to approve it?
Big changes?
No changes.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion to approve hazmat as presented.
One
I know, but I,
question on the part-time. I see year-to-date expenditure is 0. Is there any details there?
That is paid once a year,
Once
at
a
the
year.
end of the year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Who made the motion?
Cunningham.
I second it.
Motion by Cunningham, second by Keel to approve hazmat 174 as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Good work. Wait. We also have a 1152 right to know fund. This is just appropriating, just like what the other ones.
This is state money that
Right.
comes from LEPC.
Yep.
Approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Cunningham, second by Keel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. All right, you're good.
Thank you.
Sorry for your wait, Jeff.
It's all right.
201. Highway Department. 2001.
Blue tab. Well,
Which one are we starting with?
yeah, no, but
It's general fund. by the
11,
way.
12. 11, 12 we're starting with,
Okay,
just so everybody's on the same page, that's what I got.
What are we starting with?
11, 12.
Yep.
219.
201, 11, 12, lit.
201.
Oh, there we are.
It's the first one.
no changes on it.
Second blue one.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second, and I wanted to ask. I noticed there were some comments on Facebook recently about this other services and charges that was listed on here previously. And can you clarify for us that this is for paving? Is that the intent of this?
Well, it's not just for paving. We use that for work on large equipment, any services we can use it on. We use it for our road soft stuff. We use it, if we run out of money in tires, we use it for tires.
Okay, so it's kind of like a miscellaneous for all highway.
To shore up their
Yeah.
budget.
And actually, I misspoke. I should
Yeah,
have
so
said
we used to
claims.
just be under the
miscellaneous claims.
20200,
Yep.
and then we split it into services and charges and supplies.
Thank you.
Okay.
So to that, you were talking about tires and salt and things like that, which tend to be more materials. is that 1 million, 4 million split appropriate between
Yes.
services and
Yes.
goods?
Yeah,
Okay.
because we have like, salt originally comes out of LRS. So if we run out of money in that, then we have the backup on here.
So this isn't your primary source of
No.
money for that. Got it.
Tires also, tires comes out of MVH. So
And
if
if
we
you
run out
don't-
of money in that, then
If
we
you don't
pick it
spend this 5 million, it stays in there.
Yeah.
It just goes back, it just goes back into the pot. But we
Back
usually try to
into the
spend most of it.
Yeah. Lit economic development, which is actually split between the highway and economic development.
Yes.
We got a motion by Cunningham, second by Keel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Next one is Cume Bridge, 1135.
Second with a discussion. Equipment operators. I see you made a big shift there. Is that to a different fund? Is that to a
What's
different?
that?
You just held to.
I was trying to squeeze it and I didn't.
Never do this.
So account 10196
We have an
equipment
eight
operators.
someplace.
Although it's a 100 account that we're not necessarily approving today, I just see a
We're
big
missing a
shift.
number.
1019.
That might be it.
Oh,
That
right.
one.
Yep,
Second
that's,
from the
that's a
top.
typo. We're missing a number.
I can look it up if you don't have your Form 144.
Yeah, I don't want.
It was faster if I just ran down with the books.
Then you got to move somewhere else.
Sorry.
How is our cash balance doing in Cume Bridge right now?
This
It's
question is
about the-
equipment operators.
So it's fine. You know, a lot of the grants come out of that, but you don't pay those grants all in the
Then why
year.
do we
So
do
those
350
grants run
also
for like
from
5
gas, fuel,
years.
and oil? Why do
So
we
if
do
you're
that?
paying, I mean, if we get approved for like $300,000, you might be only spending $50,000 that first year. So they don't, it never runs in the red.
Okay.
Did you find the number on that?
What was it? I want the answer to this question.
No.
It's on the Form 144.
On the 144, yeah.
Mr. Rosenbaum.
On the second page, the very top line, it's 20025, gas, fuel, and oil. Last year was none.
Different, but
Wait,
that's
where
a
are
different
we?
I'm
budget.
sorry, I'm on the
Stay
wrong
the-
budget. Sorry,
Okay.
we'll get to it when we get to it.
101.
When she's finished, there's a typo on that.
Question on the floor.
10196.
Should be 110,059.50. My computer, 110,5059.50. Sorry about that. 110,059.50. $110,059.50.
Well, it rounds up to the next dollar, so I
11.
just missed a zero in there.
But why is it showing?
Yeah.
That's because that's calculated field. Because she asked for,
For a 1, actually. I missed a 1.
it's missing a zero essentially,
didn't.
which is essentially it's a $5 increase versus a $99,000 drop.
Wait, where are we?
Before,
Oh, on the Cume Bridge, yeah. It was. Is that why you're still on? Cume
yes,
Bridge?
Cume
Yes.
Bridge, equipment operators, it's basically.
Yeah, we missed a
wash.
zero. Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
What's
So-
score remediation?
Sorry,
Score remediation.
So that is if we have to put any stone and stuff on next to the bridges, because we maintain all the bridges in the county. So,
Almost all of them.
almost. So if we have to put stone or any kind of pilings or anything, that can come out of that if it's a necessary thing.
I was supposed to ask what it was, that's all. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Moving on to 1169.
Mr. Rosenbaum.
So in this one, we are moving fuel from MVH, the 350,000, to this account. The reason for that is because with the MVH, they split it to MVH restricted. So half of your MVH money has to go towards roads. The MVH, regular MVH, is majority of our salaries. Like 88% of our MVH
The
money is for
unrestricted
salaries.
part. Unrestricted part.
Yeah, the unrestricted part. So to try and save some money in that, we are moving the fuel from that to LRS.
Okay.
Mr. Yagowski.
Question, and this is a question that goes on every year. $30,000. Unfortunately, don't have a back history because you did move it around for road striping. I guess if there's any criticism on the county for the last 20, 25 years is as you well know, is painting, striping. The other one would be brim work. Where would the brim work be?
What are you talking about, brim?
We go on the side, you
Oh, like the fog line?
you reshape the
Berm?
berm.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, berm.
So we burn before we pave roads or chip seal roads. And we go through and that's to keep the water off the road once we pave. So you have to burn the edges and
Agreed, but
Yeah.
there's areas that get a lot of buildup. Others, because you're on the county roads, some
Yeah.
areas farmland, they get built up, and I guess that's the other. If there's ever complaints, those are the biggest ones that we don't take care of the side of that properly, and so. But where would that fall?
so
under?
burning is just labor because we just use our equipment and just burn the edges. Well, there's no material needed for that. We burn the edges and then we haul the dirt back to our shop.
And then re-rock the. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, 30,000 for painting.
Yeah, so striping, we can take extra out of our sign shop budget because that is also, for classified as signs. And then the extra of that would also come out of, is it lit anymore?
But do you currently have a striping program?
Yes.
Or you're out striping so
Yeah,
much?
so we now have our in-house striper, which they're out on Lakeshore Drive doing the crosswalks. But like the major stuff, the road striping, we bid that out.
The contract, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so we bid that out and then,
Anytime you pave, that's built in? I mean, the striping?
only if it was striped before. If it was striped before we pave, we have to restripe it. So
Wouldn't it?
now, like community crossings, that's all built into new roads. Like if the striping.
So, like,
But we don't just stripe every road
like many-
because it's not feasible.
Is it?
It's not.
Okay. So, again, I guess that to me that's just not that number 30,000 was here 20 years ago. I'm just going to tell you
Yeah.
this time.
Oh, it could be increased definitely.
Oh, I
But now that
understand.
we're moving fuel to this, we don't want to use all of our LRS money out. But like I said, we have extra. We like out of sign shop or out of lit.
Well, I'd like to see
We
that.
always go over.
Okay, but I'd like to see that because in 20 years we have seen reasons to have it, and that's about one of the largest complaints. I'm sure you heard it. I'm
Is
sure.
it fair to say that we'd like to see some of this money spent?
Yeah.
We're not spending it right now because right now it shows a zero expense.
Yeah, right now it is because we don't want to get the company out here and pay a mope fee to have them come out every time we pay
Bring
one
'em out
road. So
once.
we bring them out once, and usually it'll be spent. Believe me, by the end of this year.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't want to pay a mope fee every time just to stripe one road.
No, that makes 100%. It's a setup fee, right? You get them out here one
Yes.
time and you get a bunch
Yes.
done. Do you have a date? Do you have a month that you expect them to come out?
Hopefully we can get, well, right now we're trying to get them out to do a few things. Like once we open Johnson Road, the new 400 West in Johnson, we're going to have that turning lane and stuff striped. We have to stripe now that 400 North and 421 intersection is ours with the deal with the city. We have to get those turning lanes all striped. And there's another road from last year we got to get the fog line still done on. So that can all be done at one time. So
September, October?
no, that's going to be done here as soon as Johnson Road opens. I mean, that 400 West opens. Those three will be done.
Right.
Okay.
But then we'll have them back out after to do all the other roads that we paved.
Would there be a benefit to anytime you have a road paved to include striping, even though it wasn't striped, so that it not checks it off your list?
And
I mean, do we want every road striped? Is that your goal? Some of these county roads we don't need to be striped. So
they don't necessarily have to have a center line, but I would. Wouldn't you think that the border line would be more important, or no? I'm asking.
I mean, some of these rural areas, I don't even see the
Or some-
point. of put-
I'm just asking a
Make a
question.
determination,
I
or
would say no.
somebody look at it and go, make an educated, yes, let's stripe this while we're here, or not stripe this. And
Yes.
whoever
Right.
does that.
What's the feedback you're receiving, Mark?
We're the opposite. We're just not striping enough. I've heard this, by the way, for 20 some years. And this ain't the first time we've had this
Yeah,
discussion. I
yeah.
did with Bob.
Yeah.
I did with everybody. So, and it's just people's perspective that they go on these roads and
Know where the center line is and stay off the border.
And again, if you're used to this job, if you're okay with it, but let's skip all that conversation. I think that
Okay.
30,000 should be at least 50,000 let's increase it if the council so be it. And then let's just at least get some additional lines painted. Because example, 400 in Johnson Road, that's too weak of a lines, and that's a very important area, and people can't figure that road out, trust me.
Right.
That's the same road they wanted to put a roundabout on. That I could just see how we haven't been able to handle, getting to the left lane or the right lane.
Right. Yeah, I'm all happy with getting 50,000 in there.
What's your motion?
Everybody made, whoever made the motion.
So Earl and
You want
Adam need to,
that, I'm going to accept that amendment.
Earl Cunningham, and who seconded?
I'm going to accept the amendment to the
Yes.
motion, to the motion.
I think.
and Earl's agreeing to the additional increase, and Adam,
I will agree.
so.
Adam.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Major Bridge. Whoa.
So the question comes up every year that we're
1171.
taking at a major bridge, of course, the foreman and stuff like that.
Bridge tenders.
So are we, and there was some talk that we might be getting close to using up the funds and available. You see a problem with that this year compared to our question? We're still okay?
Yep, we're still good.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you, thank you.
Is that a motion?
Sure.
So, okay, maybe I'm missing something. $884,000 more than last year.
Go to the last line, 30120, other services and charges.
Yeah, but it was replaces a previous account.
Which one
Oh,
were
there's the
we?
previous account then.
Major bridge. Major bridge.
Okay, so
1171 major.
so it's
So
really
there
not
was a
that,
2020 account,
1171
and that amount was in
major
there?
bridge.
but it so the subtotal at the bottom's showing 884. It's really more along the lines of the probably 22,000 increase because of the three others that are increases.
Yeah, the only thing that increased was the health
Be
insurance
helpful
had
if
to
you
go
would,
up,
thank you.
and the bridge tenders, that went up, the salaries. So yeah, that's the only things that went up on, that I put in to go up.
All right. Motion to approve as presented.
That'd be a second to Mr. Yagowski's.
Yep.
Right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item, MVH restricted 1173.
There's a 202, there's a 203, and a 204. So just, I don't,
We're doing 202. And then the other ones we'll just knock out.
Okay, so this one, we budgeted in like $3 million because we don't know for sure how much we get from the state, and this is the one you have to use half of the MVH money on the roads. It has to be done. Then this year we added in all these 100 accounts because you can mirror your MVH accounts and transfer money from. So restricted takes away from some of the budget for salaries. So there's approved work categories that you can use for MVH restricted, and then you can put the money back and forth for salaries. So that's why those are mirrored on that side. This year we've never seen that before, so that's new.
These are all 100 accounts.
Yeah, I'm just telling you why those are there now.
Not the money, but the claims.
Yeah.
Just hold it over.
Let's hold it over.
Let's go to 1173 203. This is the MVH restricted. So this is for paving only.
Any road maintenance.
Right.
We get our chip seal stone, we get our oil for chip seal, paving, anything for road maintenance can come out of these accounts.
So I see that you moved everything from 200 accounts to 300 accounts. So now it's
No, well, we do have a road maintenance, 21007, and then we have, other services and charges.
right. And everything is for the request. Oh, I see what we did.
As last
Moved
year.
850. Got
Yeah.
it. My mistake.
Okay,
and that's usually for an outside service, correct?
yes.
Motion approved.
Is there a second? Motion by Karanka,
Second.
seconded by. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? MVH restricted 1173 204.
100s.
100.
Put on hold. Next one is 1176 201.
The only thing different than last year, looks like some step increases in the clerks.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Karanka, seconded by Rosenbaum. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Next item is 1176 202. We only got a few items on there.
Alright, so I know I'm not as concerned about 100s right now, but I'm seeing a couple of changes where there are drops.
Yeah, so we had a lot of our older guys retired, and then, you know, you hire new, so they start out lower.
So it's all reduction of steps.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then, you know, I just want to mention, we did have replacement people. We hired 3 guys, and they quit because of the salaries. They said they weren't making enough money. So we are trying to rehire for those. But
When we talk about people that retire, we refer to them as seasonal people, not old men, old guys.
I said older guys.
Old guys.
I said older.
I'm just saying.
Somebody's kind of weird about
No kidding.
kind of weird how a guy, you said guys, so a guy goes through the whole procedure and starts his job and figures out it's not enough money.
Yeah. And we tell them, you know, you're not going to get rich at the county.
Well, and it's workforce. It's a
Yeah.
new world. But seeing that $49,000 gap for district foreman, you have all of your openings and filled positions accounted for here, correct?
We have to hire one more. We have hired 3 in the last 2 weeks, and they will be starting next week and the next week. And we have one more hire.
So is
The
that
district foreman, yes, that's all hired, filled.
so? It's all filled.
District
Okay.
foreman, yes.
So you've got all the money you're asking for on this paper right
Yes.
now.
To cover even the people that you need to
To
hire.
cover, except for one, I have a job category classification thing also. That needs to
Create
be
a
approved.
supervisor
You want
position.
to talk about that now?
Okay, so we want to change one of our equipment operator positions to a crew leader, LaPorte crew leader position. Every district, Rowling and Hannah each have a district foreman. LaPorte has myself and Andrew, and then it's been talked about for years to get a LaPorte foreman, and instead of a foreman, we were talking about getting a crew leader, which would help out with, you know, somebody with authority on the job site. So if a guy, he'd still be working, he'd still be plowing snow. It's equipment operator is a LTC 3. This would just go up to a 4. The max it could be is like $3,100 in difference. But at least it would have somebody with authority on the job site. If I or Andrew is not there, they can listen to somebody.
And you got the money for it?
Yes. So we would be taking an equipment operator position and making it a crew leader position. But it's like an extra $3,100. I just have to add it to the 144 for next year. I have it for this year.
And this sounds very familiar. This has already come across the job evaluation committee.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
We talked about this not so long
Right.
ago.
So what's your pleasure?
But yes, the salaries are all correct on here.
All right.
No typos.
Motion to
If
approve as
there's a
presented.
vacancy, you always include
Yes, if there's a vacancy, it's
Second,
put in
with the
here.
condition that if we change the classification. it
Does that include the classification?
No, because we gotta advertise it to see who would even.
Oh, no,
No, we have to
we're
do
not
it on
talking
our own.
about for this year, we're talking about for next
Next
year.
year.
Yes.
Yes,
Well-
no, I'd have to add it on my 144 for next
Don't
year.
we have to vote on it as a public meeting?
If we did it this year, this all gets voted on again in a public hearing.
Yeah.
But
Yes, in support.
of the position for next year.
Yes.
If you want it for this year, then you have to ask for this year, and we would put that.
So
in our-
I would, there's nobody in mind, so I would have to advertise
You
it
got
to the
time.
guys,
You got
and
time.
then find somebody, and then I know the exact salary, because I don't know who it would be. So the salary would be, the amount would be a little different.
It's in support with the changes that would be necessary.
You live with us. You live with us for how many years? Can you wait till the first of the year? To just,
Yeah, I can wait,
Why
yeah,
don't you wait till the first of the year?
That's
to call it
fine.
a day?
That's fine.
But we can approve it for the first of the year.
yeah.
Today.
So,
Yeah.
Yes, I said you were talking
Yeah,
partial.
yeah.
I said if she wants it, she'd need to let us know
Right.
yeah,
for
we can
this
wait,
year
yeah.
because we do
Definitely.
it.
Well, then we need to add in the amount or some amount of $3,100.
But we're not. All right.
Yes.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Thank you. 1176-204.
This is
2 pages.
Huge reduction from the year before.
That's for the gas fuel.
What is it? Is it because the gas got moved to?
Yes, the gas got
350,000?
moved, yeah, and then some other accounts got switched around. Nothing was increased, just the
Small
categories
reduction.
that they were put in was switched around and some were combined.
And you must have had some change in mechanics.
Some what?
Change in mechanics.
Yes, well, that's too, like, we had,
People
some-
retiring, new people in. That's all.
yeah,
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rosenbaum, second by Adam. On question, when you, we've had other departments up here and you send an invoice to other departments for fuel,
yes.
where's that money? Does that money
goes
go
back-
right back into that account?
It goes back into MVH, so now it would have to go back into LRS once we move it.
And then get reappropriated just like we're doing?
Well, we just keep it, right now it's in an account, just reimbursement for, gasoline. And it just sits there in MVH. We don't ever have to really go back and get it, but,
But it's just in that
it
gasoline
gets
account?
put back into MVH, so then it gets put back into the budget. Next year it'll have to go into LRS, cause that's where fuel's coming from now.
Got it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
So I do wanna give y'all some updates on the trucks.
Yep. That we ordered,
The trucks from last year, February 2023, have just got put into the build slot.
oh, the
So
build
those,
slot.
yes, so those should hit, the chassis should hit the ground in October. Those chassis do have to be paid for before they get sent to the outfitters. So I might be coming at the end of the year for that motion to support money, which was not to exceed $2 million. So, other than that, then once we get on a program for the next trucks that we order, probably 5 trucks, all of our trucks should be automatic, and we shouldn't have any manual anymore. And then our oldest fleet would be a 2011. After those 5 trucks are gone, our oldest fleet goes up to 2016s. So we are in the process, if we keep it like we're doing, to get our fleet up to date.
I'm gonna bring up a not so happy topic.
Okay?
Has there been any consideration? You guys work 10-hour days. You're off on Fridays. Is there any consideration having a skeleton crew, have Mondays off, and somebody covering? Because
Well, we have somebody answering the phones all day on Fridays. So, and we have an on-call foreman. So if something happens and needs to be addressed, they do still go out on Friday.
but then it's time and a half. They're on
But
call.
it's only if it's 2 hours. You know, if they have to go get a tree, they get, or whatever,
But we hear a lot from the public. They're like,
well, somebody's answering the phone every Friday.
Nobody works. I know, but they're not called. They're not. How come?
It's really not feasible for us because you have to have a mechanic there, and we only have 4 mechanics, you know, and a mechanic, garage foreman. So it's not feasible for us. Oh, go ahead.
How do you have to have a mechanic there?
Well, if we have a crew on site, they have to have somebody there in case something breaks or this.
If that truck breaks down, you got another truck. You don't have to. You have a small crew. You don't have to have a mechanic. That's just. I'm sorry.
Doesn't have to be the full crew on like a
If you have
Friday,
just a
but
crew
just
with-
We can talk about it.
mowers out on Fridays. You know, have a staggered, especially mowing, because mowing is one of those things that we could mow almost year round and still be mowing.
Or berm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or brimming, as Mr. Galsky says.
Yeah.
Word of the day.
And this is before you took over. There was an attempt to keep to rotate people to do Fridays every other week, so that you'd have half the crew on Monday and then half the crew on Friday. And so that's just another thought to throw back at you.
Yeah.
So that
I mean,
we
it'd
have,
probably be
we're
more
visible
feasible
on the
for a few
roads.
people than half the
Just
crew.
a skeleton, like I said, somebody out mowing, doing things, especially these things that we're behind on. I mean, cause, yeah,
Yeah, well, tree cleanup puts us behind on everything. So,
not,
yeah,
just not to ruffle feathers, but just, you know.
I got you.
Right, just trying to be responsible to our constituents, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Michigan Township Assessor. 130.
30.
130.
Mr. Yagelski's gonna want to see your signed hall pass just to make sure you can be out of school.
Getting extra credit for being
I'm
here.
gonna sign your
College
paper.
credits.
Don't worry, you checked mine this morning.
It makes me feel better. We're going to our 10-year reunion in a few weeks.
Yeah.
All right.
That's not from, that's from high school.
High school.
Okay, I'd make sure some people have.
Aye.
So no changes?
No, there are no changes in the 200s or 300 accounts. The only change that happened were in the 100 accounts, the certifications came from an extra account, but now they're in our base salaries.
Yes.
And Rhonda helped us with that.
Yeah, so it was coming out of the extra hire part-time seasonal account, but we moved it from that and then moved it to each individual account for like elected, chief deputies, and then clerks.
They're gonna be reflected in the ordinance also?
Yeah, it's already is. But the state had sent out a bulletin in 2016 to say that it was to be considered part of their pay and any raises thereafter. We didn't update it, so it looks like we had another thing in 22 reminding us. And luckily, a conversation with Stacy made us catch it and got them taken care of.
All right.
Postage, 6,500, but you haven't spent any this year.
Yes, well, we did a claim adjustment for that because we ultimately did spend that for Form 11s when we sent out back in April.
She's correct. It got pulled from, I think, the 2015 reassessment, which was incorrect. So in July, a claim adjustment was done, but you will not see this because it's as of June 30th.
Yes.
Okay.
On this paper. So
you're
it
spent.
was used.
So yes, it's been spent.
All right.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Motion by Cunningham, second by Keel. Any other questions or comments on 1130? Hearing none. Oh, did you have something?
After we can do this, but I do have a quick question for them.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Can you tell us the classifications of how many people have reached the top levels, what levels that everybody's at?
So there's 3 levels. I'm the only one in our office that has a level 3, but everyone else has a level 2, which is
Perfect.
required.
Thank you.
Good.
It's part of the goal.
Yeah,
Seriously.
absolutely.
Do you mind telling them what the 1, 2s, and 3s get? Do you know the amounts they get for that certification? 500 and
It's 500 for the level 2, and I believe it's 1,000 for level 3. And they all are working towards a level 3. We're just waiting for classes to be available. They're only available a few times a year.
And I commend you because it seems like the questions and concerns with Michigan Township Assessor has drastically decreased. That's all I'm.
As
I
well.
don't know if it's you or Mr.
As well as
Schultz,
appeals.
supervision. Stacy. Oh, well, it's Stacy. All right, I'm sorry.
Stacy.
Always Stacy, obviously.
Thank you, I
and
appreciate
so
that.
You're doing good.
We've been working hard on getting a good reputation there.
Great, thank you. That's it?
We did have job reclassification.
Okay.
Can we discuss that now?
Sure.
So we went through the job committee, talked to Mr. Kronka, Mr. Rosenbaum. So the classifications are from Comet 4 to a Comet 5. These are for our real estate deputies and our commercial and income deputy. So 3 total positions. And the reason for that is we are comparing our job descriptions and our duties to the county clerks, or the county assessors, their deputy clerks. And we just want to compensate our deputies. They're a Comet 5 or a Comet 4. We're doing the same thing. So that is the reason for the increase. We want to be able to retain our employees. Would hate to lose an employee just because there's an opening at the county. They're doing the same work.
When we did the assessment, that is going to be on the letter that was put on, that was tabled from Monday night's meeting to next month.
Yes.
So we had a pretty
We'd
lengthy
actually put it in
conversation.
here.
I don't think it's in here. based
No,
on-
we could put it in here
We could
now.
put it in here
We could
now.
amend what we did and put it in here. And it was truly simply because, the same work being done now, I'm gonna use the word now, or recently, is being the same work that's being done in the county.
Yeah.
But it allows Mr. Schultz to have a pool of employees to pull from all the time when there's a pay.
Schultz calls you the minor league, is that what
that-
you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Farm team and he
Farm
brings
team.
people up. So equaling it out, it seems as though they'd be equaled out, so.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's just equal amount.
So do you wanna amend Mr. Cunningham, you made the motion on that last one?
I'll accept the amendment.
And you second it? No?
It was Justin.
Justin.
And keep your notes.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
So we're putting in the increases for 2025?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, that was Cunningham and Keel. Got it? Anything else?
Would
That's
you
it.
mind to get me a new Form 144
Yes.
so I can
Look at
include?
you.
Yes, I have one prepared. I can send that to you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Next item is the county assessor. That paperwork I gave you.
109.
Explanation. I think we need to make sure that's.
You feeling better, Mr. Schultz,
From what?
from our last meeting?
I'm not touching that.
Nope.
County assessor 109.
Do you have a specific question, or you just want me to go through this?
No, 101919 for clerks, assuming that increase is entirely on steps.
We're not talking about 100 right now.
That's all you have. It's not in general.
That's
We
pretty
talk
good.
about everything.
Actually,
Had a flashback from when you were on the.
You were waiting for that one, weren't you?
There is an increase in the clerks only because we also had a job reclassification. Do you want to discuss that now or at the end? But
Do it now.
that increase
Do it
would be
now.
in here.
No.
Okay, so we had one employee left in the office that was still accounted for. The duties of that position have changed. A lot had to do with that with COVID. There's certain requirements now that with meetings, the Zoom setups and the recordings and all that kind of stuff. We also would require that position now to have a notary. So the duties of that position have increased. And she still does everything else that everybody else in the office does. So we felt that there was really no reason that that position stay at a comment 4. We asked for that to be a comment 5.
Right. And when we
And
went
she's
through-
a level 2. She did
And
get
yet
her
she's level
level
2 assessor.
Okay. So yeah, when we went through the whole job evaluation committee, that
Yes, sir.
was
Yep.
well justified and made sense. So
Is that being paid out of your reassessment?
she's got that in here.
Denise, I shouldn't say that. Oh yes, actually, that position does get paid out of reassessment.
Oh, so the $7,000 reflected on the clerks
Would be step
is
increases.
just step increases.
Yeah, I
Okay.
have those if you want to see them.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, I have a thing, and I couldn't be here Monday, so I just want to make sure I get something clear on your account, your 75,000, the salary here for you. That includes your certifications and also
Per diem.
per diems. Am I correct?
No.
Okay, so what?
The guy sent me your attorney, my friend. Guy sent me
Well, that's part of why we're trying to make sure we get
I
things
know.
all cleared up.
He sent me an email this morning, and he asked to clarify what was the difference from last year to this year, because let me pull it up here real quick, and we
Can we
can.
start off,
Well-
are you looking at, can we go with the first part? What is your salary?
Well, that's what I'm going to get to, because I don't think we talk about 75, but it's not at 75. It's less until you include the.
We get that.
We
What
get
is
that.
your, what is
What
your
is your
total
salary?
compensation for the year?
$83,012.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that is a base salary of $72,826. That is a level 3 pay of $27.50 and a per diem of $74.36.
Why does this say 75,575 on it?
Because for 24, the auditor's office said that the level pay would get added into the base salary because it was part of our salary that deserved the raises.
But the per diem comes from the next account. That's why. That's why it doesn't say 80 some.
And the per diem is out of the reassessment fund?
Yes. But what's confusing here, because you remember when Mr. Bernacchi was here and they tried to get all the
Yes.
Elected official salaries. Technically, if you're looking at just my base salary, I make $70 less than the treasurer.
Well, you're right. We weren't trying to.
No, I'm just saying. So that's why this per diem has been in the budget for at least 10 years.
Don't agree, but we agreed. Our objective was to try to come close. It was not everybody was going to make the same amount because
Right.
example, the director over at the animal ended up making a little bit more than somebody, but it was just to get it within range. It wasn't supposed to be the $12 or whatever number it is. Doesn't mean nothing.
Right.
We got them close. That was all we were trying to do.
We needed to increase them because it was hard to increase everybody else underneath until we got those out, but, so this, ask the auditor, this per diem is nothing new.
No.
It is we're just simply adding it to the salary ordinance.
Yeah, I
Just to
think where the
clarify, this
confusion
isn't-
came in was that he stated at the last meeting, and that's what Guy was asking about, I believe, that there was a decrease in his salary that it was compensating for, but it's over and above your salary, not that it lowered your salary and then you take that. So regular salary plus the certification plus the per diem.
It's just put in an ordinance form. Nothing has changed on the way his dollar amount for the last umpteen years.
Correct, yes, and the State Board of Accounts does require a policy from the county as well, not just the state
Showing how
ordinance.
his pay is made up.
Okay.
No, actually what they said was the state must be who approves the total amount, which is like 50 some dollars. Does that sound right?
No,
No.
they don't.
Well, they
just-
said that the state sets an amount and then
No.
the
No,
they
county.
don't.
No, they don't.
I'm just telling you what the State Board of Accounts.
And I spoke with them as well because they wanted to speak to me directly.
But what they said to me was the state has a set amount, and so the county has to write a policy stating that what they agree to pay. So regardless, a policy needs to be made by the county, and I have an email from them today as well, so.
Okay.
The statute says nothing of the sort, because she told me they do not on reassessment have anything. I think the problem is there's per diems all around. There's different per diems for different things, but this per diem is for reassessment. They do not set the amount. That's up to the council to set whatever
They
amount
have
they
a maximum though, she said.
No, they do not. It's up to the county to set the per diem on reassessment. And in the statute, it doesn't set that. It's up to the council, and that's what she told me. Actually, all five of them were sitting there and were in
When's the
agreement.
last time that per diem changed?
2023.
Probably in their office.
It got, when, was that the year you guys get the 10% raise? Mm-hmm. That's when it changed.
Yes.
The changes with the salary increase.
Yes,
So it has an automatic adjustment in it.
yes.
Well, not if we adjust it 10% or whatever percentage. But there is no max,
Has
there's
the-
no minimum.
But it follows, yes, what you're saying is,
Follows
it has
the
followed.
raises.
Yes, sir.
Right, right.
Or it historically has done.
And this has been in your pay considerably sometime.
For at least
This
10
isn't-
years.
This isn't Mr. Schultz and his friend Mr. Novak trying to scam money and get more money from
No,
Mr. Schultz.
this
No,
has
sir.
To
been,
make sure that
And
the
nor
public
for all of
understands.
his employees, which is.
Yeah, I'd
what
like
I
to make
saw.
that clear that does not affect the entire assessor's office.
We're not increasing his pay. His pay is the same as it's been.
Yes.
So there's no magic here, there's no
No, there's not.
voodoo finance and
And there's
voodoo
nothing on
numbers,
hiding.
nothing else.
it started out as $25 like 10 years ago. We just picked an amount.
I get it, I get it.
And whatever increases were given over the time were assigned to that, but it's part of. And the reason it's just given to myself and my deputy, because truly we're the two that are responsible to get the reassessment done on time and to the state.
Got it.
So that's why it's not given to the whole staff. That's why they get their stipends from getting their levels.
Just want to make sure the public understands.
Yes,
Because
there's-
obviously there's
no.
a misunderstanding.
Yes, there is.
Nope, it's always
Please,
been
please
there.
come ask if you have a question.
No, that wouldn't be the way to do it.
Well, the problem was, as you all know, is that we asked the question. I'm sorry, Mr. Schultz, your memory was not good because you go, I don't know what I make. So that went the wrong way. You know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I don't go around saying, God, I need to make more. I need to make more all the time.
understand.
You know, and so I really don't. I look at my check stub, and if it's close, I could be cheated $1 or $2, and I might be.
I know that,
But I'm
you,
not.
You understand what happened.
But I know it. I know what you're saying. I just don't go around saying I know exactly how much I make. I don't.
I guess part of me does wonder, given the confusion about how this per diem worked in the past, did prior councils intend for you to be the second highest paid elected official in the county?
No,
I don't think so. I was supposed to be the third highest.
they were supposed to all be this. They were all supposed to be relatively the same.
Well, not necessarily, because a clerk
He asked
makes
me a-
about
he asked me a
10,000
question.
more.
Okay.
But the
Mr.
reporter
Schultz-
was
Mr.
lower.
Schultz was the councilman at the time he voted for it.
I was on the council for 6 years. Yes.
Mr. Schultz was the councilman when he voted for it.
No, I was on.
No, I was
with Bradaki. So the answer to the question was they tried to keep them all as close as possible at the time.
They weren't all set the same.
They were set pretty close. In fact, we have the minutes of the meeting. Let's go look at it.
I don't think it's possible to lower pay or to
the
change it
reporter
at
was
this point, but it
The
maybe
reporter's
we're thinking about as raises are allocated in the future.
The what?
I don't think it's easy to lower it at this point, but or to change it, and I'm not sure that's the way we should go. But at some point, we might want to consider that as we
Well,
do
see,
raises.
part of the issue is when the directive came out from the state, because when I'm grandfathered, so I get $2,500 for my level 3. Most only get the 1,000, but I get 1,000 and the 1,500 because I'm grandfathered. We never considered that part of the salary other than it was part of your paycheck, and we never considered that part of the raises. It was just a flat. You got 25 whether there was a raise or not. Evidently, the directive says no, it's supposed to be part of the salary and the raise. Any raise is given. There's a lot of, and it was never intended to offset that if the state gave me, the 25, then the county would lower my salary
Mic go off?
25.
No, I had to turn it down.
Oh, okay.
So that's the reason for some of it's going up more than it's because we didn't always count that as part of.
Right, the level pay is additional, and so is the per diem, it's an additional. The base salary is still 72,826.
Okay.
That's the difference. Different offices have different requirements.
And are you
Yeah.
2,750 or just 2,500 for your certification?
Well, it's
2750 now.
because of the 10% raise.
Perfect, yep.
But yeah, I would have just put 25, but evidently there was a directive that it was to receive the raises as well.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
It's when they changed it to paying by paycheck
By
instead of the
paycheck
one lump
instead of
sum.
one lump
Yeah.
stipend.
Do the 100.
Probably for less confusion, I would assume.
Okay, so, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for helping us clearing that out, because
The issue,
I wasn't even here and,
paid it a lump and then they leave.
No, because.
Yeah, and I'm sorry if the confusion was because I didn't know what my salary was, because truthfully, I don't go home and check it every night.
okay. So,
Once a week, you said.
What would you like to do with the assessors 109?
They're all 100.
They're all 100. So we're gonna hold.
Carry it over.
but now we have the explanation we need.
As it-
The assessment fund.
I'm noticing that the GIS coordinator is being removed from the 2015 reassessment fund.
Correct.
And this may not be a question for you specifically, but where is it going in the budget?
So the health department offered to help cover some of that.
My recommendation, I'd spoken to Mrs. Grammarosa, was that a board probably should be established again for the GIS director, and that the director should answer to the board, and also all of the departments that have something to do with that position should also kick into it. We would kick in some health department, probation, 911, probably sheriff.
So that's the way it was set up. The only reason why it was taken away from that was because it went originally to real estate. We moved that person around. That's why, because it's too long of an explanation, but we want to bring it back to that position, and that we have that to come up here when the commissioners come up.
Right, and then I agreed I would pay for it if we hire someone within 2 or 3 weeks, because we're getting into that process of hiring. I would continue to pay for it this year, so it would still be paid out of the reassessment
We'd have
fund,
to figure out for next year.
but it would be for next year.
Got it.
somewhat related to this, have you been monitoring the cash balance of the 2015 reassessment fund?
No, I did look at it.
I'm not saying it's your job to, but I'm
No,
just
I
asking if
did
you've
look
been
to
keeping an
see
eye on
that
it.
we were fully funded again. I mean, as far as the
Okay.
levy.
Yeah, and
So
making sure that the levy
that's
is
what
enough
I've
to
looked
cover
at,
your
but I've not
expenses.
looked at, because there was still some surplus left over even after they cut the levies for those 3 years or 4 years.
Okay.
So no, I haven't really monitored.
That was all I was checking.
Typically, we need a surplus to carry the first 5 months until the tax settlement, when we have these things. So that's why there's always been a little bit of money left over at the end of each year. So we have to start making sure we're protecting that too.
Yeah, that's where I was going with it.
Yeah, I want to make sure we're similar page, that's
I
all.
was going there too.
Sorry if I jumped the gun.
What would you like to do?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We also did, if you want to question the or not mileage, but the postage, we did get a postage
Bulk rate.
Permit.
bulk rate
Yeah,
permit
bulk rate permit.
for our mailing this year. We think it did save some.
It was about a wash, actually, only because unless you are sending out a specific number of envelopes at one exact time, so like after Form 11s are done, that bulk rate no longer applies. Because you don't, it's not like piecemeal, right? So that one chunk of time when we sent out all those forms, we were using the bulk rate, but the rest of the year it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't use that bulk rate
Unless you
have
had
so many
like
pieces of mail,
250
like one
pieces,
mail.
yeah.
So it's about a wash.
Unless someone else would, maybe the
It should be a county
maybe the county needs to look to getting the bulk rate and everybody, because there's probably others that would qualify for it.
To share it, yeah.
Ours will last that, I think when we send next year, it's still good, because it's about a year, so it depends on the
should be
date.
able to
We
get-
should get one more, and then we didn't realize that the envelopes we use, we should have put the bulk rate stamp. And so Hawkins Print was good enough, they let us run them back through to put the
Yes.
bulk rate stamp on it for us. So that cost us a little bit more, but next year we'd be more aware of that. So it did
But
save
I
a
think it
little.
would be more beneficial if it was an entire county process as opposed to just an individual office.
Aside from just saving money, did you guys feel like it saved time to be
Did
able to?
not save time.
It did not save time.
Not at least this year. Maybe try one more next year, because now we're more familiar with it. It took us forever to figure out and communicate with the post office on what do you do. I mean, to try to get a live person over there,
Oh, yeah.
and then someone that actually knows.
Yeah.
Just gotta walk over and ask for Sheree.
Oh well.
That's exactly who I spoke to, and that's what I did. I walked over there.
Yes. So finally,
multiple times.
that's what we did, and she was very helpful. But it was just the initials. But now we've been through all that. But we would recommend to the commissioners, if we do it, we should get a bulk rate stamp, because actually you could do multiples. We may not have enough on our side, but if another one's going to send out a ton of them, and you put them together, it doesn't matter that it's coming from the assessor and the clerk. If there's enough there to get the bulk rate, then we get the bulk rate.
Yeah.
You must can do that with them.
We don't all have to be the same mail.
This all gotta be pre-sorted.
250 sort time. But they go to the commissioner's office.
And Justin, did you get your basement count? Did you get the basement?
Yes,
Did you
very
get the-
helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next one is 1131, sales disclosure fees. This is just a.
What we did this year, because we found out we could use the sales disclosure fund for training and travel, stuff like that. So we reduced it out of the reassessment fund to help build back up the surplus in that fund. And so instead of coming back and playing Mother May I, we just created our own fund. Well, the fund's there, budget in that fund, so we don't have to come back for that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Rosenbaum, second by Karanka.
And there's probably about 90,000, maybe close to 100, probably 90,000 in that fund right now.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Thank you, Stacy.
Yep. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
You too.
911. Nope, we're gonna take a break.
What's it supposed to mean though? It's
Good?
Yes.
All right. Next item is E911 177.
Helping them explain to you what you're gonna ask them.
Okay.
Okay.
Good morning.
Then we'll wait.
Morning.
Sent to you with the countdown of the, yeah. You can have it, actually.
Ready?
I don't
I'm
need it
ready.
back, I can put
You ready?
another.
Yep, go ahead.
All right. Good morning.
Morning.
So as I look at utilities, $10,000 adopted for this year with only 562 expended. Is there a reason we're asking for $10,000 again this year?
That
What utilities are you paying?
What is it?
Utilities, 30118.
Because I looked at this year before we came in, we're already at 7,700. So
It's on the draft, I'm assigned, but I can look up whatever I need to look up.
what we spent total in 23 was 7,740.57.
Oh, okay.
Is it the-
But expended so far this year shows
562. That's correct. Yeah.
okay. So the intent is so what
That we use our utility account. We pay for water and anything that we can't pay. Since everything else is out of our state funds, anything that we can't pay out of that, we use the utility account for. So different supplies and stuff that we need throughout the year. So at the end of last year, we had enough left that we ordered enough to get us through this year, and I haven't had to place any large orders yet this year.
Okay, so this is basically basic operating supplies, not necessarily when I read utilities, I start thinking about water, sewer.
No, all
gas,
that's
power.
covered through.
Yeah.
We're in the annex, goes through maintenance.
Right. So this is more like bottled water.
Bottled, yes, all that stuff.
Okay.
Should almost be.
Is that categorized?
To be a different account.
Properly.
Yeah.
Totally
I mean, would,
misleading.
Isn't there a 20021 other supplies account that we can move things to?
I don't have it.
Even other services and charges if it's, but if you're purchasing,
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I'd rather call it other supplies.
I inherited it, so that's
is it all
what we
supplies
left
that you
it.
purchase through?
Not all, but
Not all
we can
supplies,
move,
yeah.
we can move some money over into a other supplies account.
Yeah, I do believe
Oh, that would be-
0021 with that.
think
Only,
that would
only because it'd
label it
be
better.
a lot less explaining.
Yeah.
And, do we change the whole thing over to another supplies account?
is it
As long
is
as
any
I
of this services?
No, just our water service, the monthly service.
But they're
Everything
bringing
else is-
in.
They bring in our water cooler bottles.
So it
Most
would
people
make
put under office supplies as well.
yeah. So I would say it's change where we. I propose we change the account to
0021.
yes,
Whole thing.
the whole
Yeah.
thing.
That's what I was trying to get to. Thank you.
Got it.
Would you say your current expenditure is?
This year, 562. Last year we spent 7,740.
Probation's a big one.
I'd make a motion to approve and move the 30118 into 20021. Did I get that right? And then also include the Motorola contract into the maintenance contract. So add the additional 82,200 and round up to $15.
So that may change. Rhonda added that just so we could discuss it. That may change because every year that goes up. Last year we did a 1 year, so that's a ballpark. I'll get a
5 year.
I can get a 5-year
You
price,
can
but
save
last year it didn't save us that much. So you guys went with the 1 year.
20,000 maybe.
If I may, I think we need to stay with a 1 year, but I thought they locked in last year the price for 5 years. So because it was higher than paying,
Only if we went with a 5 year, but we only signed a
but
1
we
year.
didn't. They didn't lock into the price.
No.
The thing is
So this
I'm
is
wrong. Motorola's not going away.
no.
No.
So this is just one, and then we also have to remember the other one. So this is Motorola for our phone system. Then the one that you guys also agreed to pay is the 90,000 for the radios as well, which
Right.
we didn't discuss yet. But I added a note to talk about that today too. So this price for the 82,000 should be close to that for next year. if we approve that, we'd have some left in our budget to cover the difference.
The only way we'd get a better price than that is to go a longer
Lock
term
in a 5-year.
contract.
But last year, I think it saved us 20,000 over
5 years.
5 years, and
Right,
it
and
wasn't.
at the time, we didn't.
We didn't have the extra funds.
Where-
Trying to keep the budget.
We're still playing with the general fund this year, even going into next year, so that we can probably, you get the options, but, you know, we're probably gonna have to go.
Yeah, I'll get
This is ARP
pricing
money at
both
the end of
ways.
the year that we
Yes,
have to spend.
I'd modify my motion to bump it up to 83, just since it isn't set in stone yet, give you a little bit more wiggle room. And then if we decide to go the route of the 5-year contract, we already have roughly the equivalent of 1 year of that budgeted, because we know we're gonna do that at the bare minimum, right?
Right.
Yes.
Can we add the pulse point to that too?
It's,
Post point should already be in.
83 plus 10, so.
Plus 10, so
it should be
Post
93.
point was already added to the budget, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
We
saying,
approved-
can it be 93,000?
Can it be 92?
Oh,
Yeah,
is it
Yeah, I said
83?
the 10,000 plus the 83,000.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
And then the other 90,000 is,
Last year we paid that out of lit, so I wrote it on there, but either way, last year was 89,000 and every year it goes up. That's for our radio contracts.
should probably leave that for lit.
But we always come every year and ask for that.
I think we need to add these things in every year.
Sure.
And until we can get it all in, but right
Get
now.
it
with-
budgeted in there
general
so
fund.
we don't have to.
Yeah.
I'll write it in and I'll add it to that full list, and then that way when you look at it fully, you can see if there's enough funds to do that.
Okay.
Is it called, who's it for the 90?
Motorola as well.
Thank you.
But it should be around
90-ish.
89.
Last year was 89 and it goes up every year.
Okay. Got a motion by Justin,
Second.
second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Fund 1222.
What was that number?
This is the actual 911 fund.
Yes. This is user fees.
State, this is all money that comes from the state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Couple of things. This is money that we're guaranteed to get from the state, the 2 million. And so you're basically kind of using it up. So if we were to increase anybody's wages and pay, would we have enough money in there? Or
So if you look, we moved some out of this because if we didn't, we would have ran out of funds by then the next year. So we moved some back over to the general and then the lit to cover that. Otherwise, we would roughly run out. We'd be about
Yeah.
190,000 short in surcharge.
Because one of my problems is I know that you've been using overtime because of staffing issues and stuff, and although your staffing issues sometimes get better at times and not, but I would not want to see the overtime increased be above the prior year's amount of 150.
So this year we were lucky. We just transferred a salary that we had open to cover probably another month or two worth. But
I mean, if you need
Yeah.
money, you come get it.
we'll come
but-
ask for it.
But, you know, we're doing this with a lot of them, and as a matter of fact, we're gonna need to revisit one from yesterday to talk about it for a moment. But I would recommend that we bring this back to 150.
Okay.
And then we've been talking about, and just even in the hallway a little bit, one person here, one person there, about the elected official is rather low, so that we need to think about that in another conversation.
The issue is the chief deputy is going to be within,
$454.
but who's counting? You know what I'm saying? I appreciate that number.
Was that number good, Barb?
I knew you knew that number. But this is something that we've talked about for some time. So obviously that $68,000, we either need to cut Matt's pay, just looking at all the options.
Don't nod your head so much.
Or, no, we need to do something with the department head, obviously, on this. But how much surplus do you think is left in there? Is there any left in there at all? Surplus in that fund?
In that way,
22.
it's gonna pretty much zero out the end of next year.
You had to make up for it last year. So.
We had enough
Well,
to cover last year.
I'm trying to.
We're gonna have to
reduce this.
subsidize no matter what.
After next year,
Right.
I don't know if all of you know this, but Barb had a great point. It wasn't so much that Matt is as close to her as what would the point ever be for him to take her position when he could make more staying where he's at?
Exactly.
So that is where the
That's what we're here to fix.
problem comes.
Well, and when we did the raises 2 years ago, I'm still in the step. So I get a step, and that's why next year I get a step.
Why are you not an exempt?
We discussed that during the raises, and nothing ever was changed. So in 3 years, if nothing's done, I will make more than her, providing things stay where they're at.
I thought we had a policy that the chief deputy made 85% of the.
That was never, say it, Mr. Yagowski.
No.
Say it. Say it.
It wasn't.
Don't be afraid.
I'm not.
It's never a policy. It's what people
Did.
implied is that it was an automatic across the board.
And we did look at that, but then Matt would make less, substantially less, as far as 85% of my salary.
Exactly.
Well, obviously, we'd have to do something with your salary because I don't think the intention is to cut Matt's salary.
Make a motion to raise the director's salary by $5,000 a year. This year and then next year when I'm not here. For 25 and then 26, how's that?
Earl's counting on you having to send somebody to his house, maybe. That's why he's trying to
Get
butter
closer,
you up.
it's-
Trying to butter you up. So what's your motion, Earl?
And just looking at the difference here, and we just had someone in here making 83,000. My point is simple.
Wait. He's making seven. I'm not saying if that. Let's go with his salary. His salary's not 80 something.
Well, he's getting all kind.
Yeah.
Let me ask this question first, Barb. Do you make money from serving on any other boards? Is this your total sum salary? Therein lies part of the problem.
Would you like to be on some other?
I know we don't have any control over this, but
We'll do that.
Mr. Schultz is one that gets paid for other things, and Heather Stevens, the clerk, was getting paid, what, $3,000 for being on the election board, which operates during the same day, same time as her normal work day. It's not like she's coming back in the evening, right, for election board?
I'm not.
Some of these things, they do come back at 5 o'clock at night for meetings and so forth, like the BZA meets later. I'm just hypothetically saying the gap here is about $10,000 and still would be $5,000 lower.
Are you writing this motion down?
No, I'm not, I'm just talking right now. I
think you're right.
My motion was
Is it
to
5 and
increase her
5?
salary $5,000 for 25 and
Relook at it.
$5,000 for 26.
Relook at it 26 because you can't do that. Relook at it for 26.
I mean, yeah, relook at it for 26, just add it. We've got to make, I'm not saying that we have to make up this gap immediately, but we should be making up the gap.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do with the fact that Matt is not an exempt employee? We're gonna be playing this game again down the road. So I mean,
ways down the road, but some departments don't have. Some departments don't. I know you. I'm doing it.
that's a bad imitation. I just want to say
I'm
stepping back out of it. Let me know.
We already know that we've talked about this before.
very few.
Right. I think right now, if you go with 5,000, we're going to take care of this right now. If that's the decision, and then we can rethink all this stuff again next year. I don't have a problem with that.
I agree.
It's a process.
I agree.
But
But why is the assistant director not an exempt employee?
all right, go to the other departments, ask the same question. I'll go through them all. I don't know.
I guess part of me is wondering why don't we do step increases for department heads?
Because they're exempt.
I think the reasoning behind that for department heads, as far as if you come in, as I did, cold, I would be still in a step lower than Matt because he's already been in the center for 15 years. Well, not the center, but in
You
county
don't get your
government
prior
for 15
service?
years.
You don't get your prior service?
Those steps dropped off already.
Yeah.
But the steps stopped anyway.
Actually, 44 years is what I've actually
say.
got from the county, but
They don't go that high.
I know that. Stop.
I guess I pose this question because it may say it solves some of the problem in other departments as well. If you were factoring in years of service for the department head,
It would not just,
create a little bit
There was conversation
unless the person comes from the department as a department head.
2 or
That
3
would be the
years ago about continuing the steps past the when do they end?
27.
27 is the
27
last
years.
one.
I brought that up before.
That's why I just said.
I came before you and said, because we do have employees that have been here longer than 27 years and haven't gotten that 2% step in all those years.
Right.
But yet still loyal employees need jobs, you know?
So is
I
it,
just want to ask Ms.
Is there a second to Mr.
Well, I want to make sure that, are we reducing the overtime to 150 also? And that if they need more, they'll come to us, that we don't run out of money in that funds as soon as we.
They're gonna come to us for permission to spend it out of there.
Yeah.
What they're gonna, cause it's in their
Yeah.
restricted account. It's not
Yeah.
150.
saving, it's not going back into the general fund.
I just want to reduce it because if we have the opportunity to give raises, I don't want to take it where we're overextending.
Makes sense.
That's a motion, Mr.
We have a motion, I'm waiting on a second.
I'm asking, if Mr. Rosenbaum would prefer to make the motion, I'll withdraw my motion, and then he can add what I suggested, which is pretty simple.
Or you could add to his with the caveat of whatever you wanna add.
All I wanted to do is just reduce the overtime for 50,000. So increase the elected official by the 5,000, totally agree with you on that. And then just decrease the overtime, and if they need more next year, they come.
I second Mr. Rosenbaum's motion.
Okay,
They also have a question about 10184, if you didn't see that on there too.
Get that? Yeah, we did. One step at a time.
Systems.
I didn't have the question.
What's the reason for that, Barb?
Well, he is different than, our department, 911 is different than our regular IT. And so far as everything that he has taken on in the center, and he is doing an excellent job.
Okay, but job description, because I did this whole thing with this particular subject. Job description, unless you have a new job description, it's the same as equal to that and the
I
sheriff's
do
department.
not have a new job description,
Okay.
except that we pay Seth, and he's,
As far
he
as
was in the steps. Now, he is exempt.
Right.
He is exempt just as I am.
This is
So,
just as she is, right?
right, she's exempt also.
But her system techs,
Take to the job evaluation committee. We don't have the authority to do that, do it?
but
Got
her
the authority,
system
but
techs do get steps, ours do not.
And he was getting steps, Earl, but now he does not, since he came
We do
to
not.
our department.
My system techs make
Less than mine.
a whole lot less.
That's why the difference comes because we have the sheriff's department, we have this, and so we try to equal up these jobs. And if you're giving them more work, or him or she, whoever it happens to be, I don't know who it is. It's for what reason? I mean, because the tech job is the tech job. I mean,
What's the sheriff's guy making?
They don't have a system tech.
They don't-
covers both
They don't
sides.
have system
They
tech.
have-
Guy covers both sides?
So Seth's sorry, I misspoke. Seth's the network admin. The sheriff has a system tech. So Seth covers 911 and the sheriff's department network, and Jeremy is the system tech, which is a step under him. So he's he's part-time our employee, part-time sheriff's department employee.
and what they all equal out to, and I know you and the sheriff agreed to, was to work along with Darlene. If you needed some help, they could all, which you have. It's been a great help. But it worries, Mr. Novak, it worries me.
Hers aren't.
Right.
Wait, so, he just brought a point. So the system tech is exempt, but the yeah.
System tech is not exempt.
okay, so this
The system, I
Network-
thought you said he doesn't get steps.
We have network admin.
Admin is ours.
Okay, our title for the account is system technician.
Yes.
It says system
No,
tech
no, I'm
on
saying
here.
on her account.
Ours is for system
They
tech.
should say network admin. His job description is network admin, but system
He's
tech.
exempt,
Yes, he does not get steps.
but Matt's not.
Right.
He gets overtime.
I
do
didn't
not.
make him exempt. All I know is that's the way it's been.
So when I come in at 5 this morning, I don't get overtime. Seth came in at the
Yeah,
same
and
time,
what-
and he does get paid for it. So
I'll update that number for next year, so it's more
Seems as though
accurate.
we need to fix that a little.
Yeah, this whole thing.
Wouldn't you? I mean,
But again, we have to be careful because we have three different positions all doing the same.
this is, I'm talking about him. I'm not messing with the
I'm talking
system tech or,
Because if you do this, what's the first person, okay, I think we just heard Department before this go, well, we want to make the same as the other group because they're making, this is a common theme. So you're not going to fix by fixing just this.
not gonna fix.
We have to look at all three positions and how they compare.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
We will
But it-
update that title to
I'm
network.
looking at fix and match,
Next year.
not the system tech, talking about the 65 increase for system tech or whatever it
Actually,
is.
it's-
I'm talking about Matt being, whether he's an exempt,
The increase is 3,000 something. It's not 5,000, because he makes 61,494. So it'd be 3,000 something to 65.
increase to. It's not a 65.
It's not a $65,000 increase. It's an increase.
No.
It's
No,
3,000.
It's an increase
I get
of
it.
3,000, whatever the difference
Step
is.
above the system tax,
It has to be controlled.
she's saying.
Not
Right.
control, they can't control it today by doing this.
Got it. We're not gonna fix it today, so,
Not
yeah.
equal to the other three.
Easy, easy, easy.
Yeah, calm down.
It's okay, it's okay.
Nope. We have a motion.
I know we do. We have a motion and a second. Is there any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. And then we have 1170-734,
Mark said
lit public
yay.
safety.
Yay.
So one thing I saw, where does that? Okay, so back to Fund 1222, account 10181. You have a comms officer reduction of 117,280. But then we go to 1170-10181 comms officer. Looks like it's
Put in here.
yes, it's moved in here, but increased by $53,000, $43,000.
It's an increase of 160. 263 minus 102 is,
The difference is 160.
Yeah, where they reduced here.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
The
Increase
net
there.
between the two, so there's still.
The net between the
large
two is a
number.
$43,000 increase. Did you move one from 1222 to 1170
To lit?
to lit? But now there's still a
For
40.
1170, originally we had two 1170s, a 734 and and
177.
a 177. To make one less payroll for us to do, we combine it all into one. So now instead of having 3 employees and one in the lit and 2 employees in the lit, we put all 5 into one.
Into the lit?
Into the
Yeah,
they
they
were all
took
in the
people
lit
out.
but different funds.
Different fund. You just combined the
We
fund.
combined them so we can do one payroll sheet
Not
instead.
adding anybody to the,
We didn't add any employees. We're still at 35 employees.
and you didn't add any to the lit.
No, the only suggestion I think
combined
Rhonda had
To
was
account.
we had some room in the lit if we needed. We could put some people in there. Was her suggestion to us if we needed more.
Out of the other one, yeah.
Right.
So nothing changed, they just combined the two lit accounts together.
Yes.
Then why doesn't it show on this paper that we had 2 lit accounts?
And why does it show that we eliminated a comm officer on 12222 and you're saying you put it in lit?
That
mean,
page that you were asking about earlier will show you where the positions changed, the one that was in the front of your,
The email.
yeah.
It appears to me as though it came out of the 911
So the line must,
Does that
extra fee.
line must have been deleted because otherwise it.
Well, it doesn't exist in this one, is why it's not there.
It's been combined. I don't know why you guys don't see it. I just know what we had
Because
last
the numbers don't match. A reduction in one is not the same
year.
as the
Did
increase.
they see the other?
What they don't see is the old 1170,
Right.
177.
So we had 2 more employees in a different fund, and they put it all on
And I'm assuming those two employees totaled of 117,000
Yeah.
some change. So on the 122, the 1222, it's showing a reduction of 117. So the way it looks on ours is you're taking them out of the 911 fund,
So only one of those,
putting them in.
one employee got moved out of the 911 fund to make it so that we made it through the end of next year without having to come back for money. Everything else stayed the same.
I'm gonna say it one more time. I'm trying to understand it. Ours shows a reduction of $117,280 from the fund, and we're putting those into the 1170 in the.
So one employee was moved from the 911, the 1222, and put in 1170. So
One
we could make
employee.
it one employee.
So how
that-
much does an employee make roughly?
50,
50
starting
something thousand?
51,
Okay.
594.
So then how do we get a $117,000 reduction instead of a $51,000 reduction?
Did you say?
I'm sorry, I mean, this whole thing is,
The thing I want to make sure that we're not doing is
Look at the 144.
adding
I should
an
tell you.
employee to the public safety lit if we don't have room to do that.
Did you say you moved one to 177 so that you'd have enough money in?
To make it through the end of next year.
Yeah, so that would be the
That's one,
second.
but they said it's 117. So without figuring out all the difference in the employees that left and step increases, I can't tell the exact amount.
Did you move one to, what I'm asking is, did you move one to 177 and one to lit?
No, we just moved one. Because we've had 5 in lit.
We saw the discrepancies and that's why we
if you
came
go
up
to
with
the
that
first
piece of
account
paper.
and you add all of those line items, you have an increase of over 108,000 on the first budget. The second one, we have a decrease of 117, and then we have another increase of 161, and we haven't changed the employee count.
You want to hold this one over?
Well, we're gonna hold this, safety lit is all 100 accounts, so we're gonna need to figure that out.
Right.
So we can do that after this, so we can hold it over until then. And then I could walk through with you, I can show you the pages and then show you what.
When are you holding it over to, sir?
We,
100 accounts get held over till towards the
I
end of the
to
year.
the salary allowance. But
We won't discuss this till,
We would like to get clarification on yours sooner than later.
so if we end early today, I can come visit.
fine, super.
You're in the neighborhood.
Come on into the office.
She's always welcoming people to come in. All right.
You think you'd lived in a dungeon with no windows?
I'm sorry, what?
You think you'd work in a dungeon with no windows?
Well, we sort of do. Underground.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're obviously running a little bit behind schedule.
Are we done?
You are.
Okay.
You want to, we had put the auditor in place of EMS. Do you want to drop that one down towards the end of the
Yeah,
day?
we can drop it to the end.
Go straight to commission? Huh?
Judge might have something to give her out really quick.
Superior Court 4.
Is it- Judge, would you like to go next? Just
Yeah.
not to say that you're more important, but you have more to offer.
I did not hear that. I did
I'll
not
put
hear
it out.
that.
Would you, 152.
Wait, you're trying to get yourself in trouble?
I'm trying to get brownie
Oh,
points.
they're out of.
152. Superior 4.
Looks like only step increases.
I don't see one.
Pardon?
Looks like only step
I
increases.
think so, yep.
Same budget, only
Yes.
step.
The only thing, it's what we deal with every year is occasionally we need increases for the psychological evaluation services because we never know what that's going to be.
And that's fine.
What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
You? Oh. Motion by Rosenbaum, second by Keel. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Hey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move her up and then nay. Okay.
Commissioners. Commissioners, 1, 4, 3.
Bring lunch. Don't start. Katie, are you coming up? Hey, Joe, are you gonna come up? Because I'm gonna ask some questions on a job, if you don't mind. GIS? Or do you want to come up? I wanted to ask some questions, but if you don't want. Our fun.
What number?
Would you like to take him
Commissioners,
first?
1, 4, 3.
Can I start, Mr. President?
What's that?
Can I start, please?
You sure can.
So, this job of GIS, everybody, well, he's not here right now, but he knows the story. The GIS job was originally contracted out to be a department under the commissioners. And just like the planner, just like anything else, the job was offered here, and we have three applicants, and they're getting a little nervous because they make a decision. It's already been a couple weeks. I don't want to lose. There's a chance to get one of the three as a good candidate. The offer's at $58,944, so $59,000 was put out and advertised. So the three people went and applied for that job at that price. We have talked to, and when we had a job before, we had a board. I was on that board. We put the recommendation out, and Melissa Mischke was hired at the time. She was our first GIS director, and the commissioners then had the vote for it, and they voted her in. Through some difficulties of a couple years after that, the council didn't. There's some issues we really can't talk about. Long story short, I'll say it the right way we can. We had to move on, and we decided to put the person that we hired next under real estate. Then I went from real estate to I'm going with Schultz. Now Schultz says, "Come on, it's time for us to put this somewhere." He doesn't want to make the decision to ruin it for the county. So our previous person that worked for us, who did really well, worked for 12 years, did really, really well. He'll come back and make a recommendation. If we give this to the commissioners, that he'll make a recommendation of the three and help us in a selection of the GIS. And at that point, then we can form a committee again. And so we know that we have departments that already said they're willing to put into it. We may have to squeeze some others to go for it. But I believe that we could easily cover that from what his salary was, and actually because of his longevity, that he was making like $57,000 anyway. But he has to get certificates and so on and so forth. So he wasn't too far behind what this wage is right there. And this person, whoever comes in, will be able to get the same certificates and so on and so forth. I truly believe we need to get back under the commissioners because we can do with economic development and other means of that nature. And we can start getting the committee together of the departments that pay into it.
Because they utilize it.
And I believe that it'll pay for itself, or at least half that amount, which is still, well, okay, if you're talking, that's $30,000. We even get half that money, that's $30,000 for a GIS director again. I believe we need the director again. So any questions to ask me, I can answer them.
What are you getting at? You'd like to see that position filled?
I want to see a position put back under the commissioners. I have to make the GIS coordinator we talked about. We have offered it for $58,944.27. I'd like to see that as the number. I'd like to put the committee back together of the group that are going to utilize that person. Okay.
That'd be a line item in there.
Line item, yes.
GIS, not under professional services or anything.
It would be just like county planner.
County planner.
And the county assessor, it's account 10218. So I don't know if we can keep it the same. 10218 for GIS coordinator.
That's why I asked if Mr. Haney.
I don't know if we need to keep it the same.
Do you have any? That's my point. Do you have any problem with that, Mr. Haney, or?
And Mr. Schultz said he would pay it for the rest of the year.
Rest of this year.
So,
Hang on.
Ben, I mean, we're not notified of this.
Well, no.
We're coming here for our budget hearing. Let's make this clear. You guys are making a decision for us. You're gonna put it into our department.
We're asking
You're making
you.
a
We haven't got, wait a
We're
minute.
asking you.
How did I
making a motion.
start this conversation
Nice,
up?
nice.
Said you're making a motion and.
I did not make a
For
motion.
second, and
I
you're,
said
and you're gonna
I'm,
vote.
I said I'm proposing.
Okay, so
Did
was
anybody
there
else
a
hear me say
motion
it?
made? Was there a motion made?
No,
I make a motion.
no.
Okay.
No.
So I don't know how you get so excited all the time.
I'm not getting excited.
you
I'm
just
trying
did.
to understand.
Let's
Oh, you
start-
feel busted, but it's okay.
Let's start over.
I'm trying to understand.
Okay.
So, because we haven't had this discussion, and I know I've checked with HR. I know 3 applicants have came in. We have not started the process of interviewing yet.
Correct.
It's not my understanding that they've closed the position and they're not gonna take any more applicants. Can you kind of fill us in with that?
That's according to HR. She was at court yesterday. The person
And
that's there
today.
said it was closed.
It is closed as of yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, so you have 3 applicants
Yes.
for it, and then when is the interviewing process gonna start?
This is what we do. I'm proposing. I don't know. You tell us.
Are you-
First, do you guys like the idea?
Can I get clarification? Are you asking at this time for the commissioners to take this over now and finish the process?
No, I'm asking first is, what do you guys think of the process before we go and start?
Or putting it under your budget in the future?
What do you think about the position? What do you think we should, or do you think we
With
should
other
not?
departments supplementing the money, so it's not like we're gonna cut your
So,
budget
I mean,
somewhere
I think that we need to, in all fairness, I mean, we're just kind of, and I don't know unless you two have been involved in this.
Not at all. Nobody has.
We don't even know what departments are gonna be involved. We don't know the makeup.
It's just putting them under your budget, under your jurisdiction, like the planner.
You're in charge.
Like it was years ago.
Yeah, that may not be a bad idea. GIS deals with a lot, and it's
Sheriff,
not,
real
yeah,
estate.
yeah, thrown under the assess, you know.
Health department said they'll put some money into it.
Redevelopment.
I could keep going.
Yeah, it probably makes sense to do
You
that.
guys have to, your meeting, form a committee, but you have to do very quickly because I don't think we should allow these 3 applicants to go away. But that's up to you. I'm proposing an idea. That's all I'm doing. This has been done. We didn't reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah, no, I
You
know
guys
that.
you guys will form the committee.
Right.
You're in charge of this person under your umbrella.
But you gotta understand, we're coming here for budget hearing,
Right.
and then
This is-
we're getting told
This-
that
this-
we're gonna,
You
we're
meant-
not being told, but we're being asked if we can take this position under us, and,
We'll fund it for you.
right.
And we'll fund it.
And if, in the committee could be economic development, the health department, Schultz's office.
Commissioner, the
Whoever's
council.
gonna be paying in, you guys. Planning.
Nothing
Makes sense.
And Mike can tell them which departments use it the most.
Yeah. And you can get any experience from he's willing to help us out. We work, Mike was there before, he'll tell you
Yeah,
whatever you want.
I've talked to him.
Wait, because this has been a little snowball going, we gotta get it going. So I'm not saying I'm trying to force you on time, but it is a little bit on time.
And there's a lot of departments that utilize GIS a lot, so.
And as you all know, Mike said he does not want it under his department. We did not know that at first.
But he'll throw in on it.
But he'll throw it in money.
And he'll pay for the rest of the year.
And he'll pay
leave
for
it
the
in
rest
the budget for
this
the
year.
rest of the year.
Okay, so that's my proposal to you as commissioners.
Okay.
Ask me, do you have any questions?
Yes. No, that's fine.
If you're good with that, we're gonna make a motion.
Okay.
Okay, would that be okay,
put
that
it
you
in
guys will
the
open up? That's what I was asking. Thanks, Joe.
Good.
All right.
I'd like to make that motion, Mr. President.
So the motion is to move GIS back under the Board of Commissioners, and was it, give me that.
58,945.
94427.
Or 58,945 rounded.
And we'll pay for the remainder of this year. This will be budget for 2025.
All right. But is there anything else in the commissioner's budget that we want to add to your motion? Or do you
No,
wanna-
we can hold off the rest of the stuff. I'll just.
Okay.
Yep.
Is there a second to that motion just on the GIS, and then we'll talk about the rest of it?
Mr. Cunningham has already seconded it.
You already second it? All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So,
58,944, is that the confirmed?
58,945
Thank you.
to round up.
Yeah. Let's do
Thank
that
you.
All right. Is there anything else that we'd like to need to do to the commissioners?
Well, since you already brought up that position, can we have the discussion about the secretary admin? We had, we were on the agenda for Monday to discuss the increase for her. It was approved back in 2018 for the step increase. And then we had, it was kind of stopped and processed. We brought it back before the evaluation team again, and so we would like to see that step go up from a step 5 to a step 6.
With the community decide.
The committee decided on that.
Yeah,
We agreed with.
we definitely agreed.
Comment 6.
Okay. So that go from the 43,820, nope.
47,435 to 51,767.
67, got it.
Like several of the others that were on that same proposal for our agenda, we've asked them to go back and revise their 2025 budget to include these. Since you've already done so, it appears that everything's in order.
Okay. And then is there any way that I can come back at the next council meeting? I can be put on the council and maybe we can reimburse her to the beginning of the year, and that would be $2,300 and some odd dollars. And I'd
Asking
be
for a
willing-
reimbursement to the beginning of the year?
Yes.
I see that.
You could ask to be put on the agenda.
Okay.
This, and just for clarification, this going to 51,767 is what's taking
for
place
next
here
year.
now is for next year. So it's not even changing her pay for this year. So talking about a reimbursement from the beginning of the year till now, you should be asking for it to be changed now to the end of the year.
Well, that was the purpose at the council meeting, but it's my understanding, because that wasn't a budget, that wasn't going to be a budget change. That was going to actually, if we were allowed to bring it to the council on Monday, it was proposed that they kick it to budget hearing. And so by kicking it to budget hearing, it does not allow us to ask for it for this year.
The majority of those are all for proposals for next year. That's why we asked for them being before the budget hearing. That's the concept behind that. So, but if you'd like to get on the agenda, or if somebody up here would like to make a motion to adjust her pay, a motion of support to adjust her pay to 51,767 now.
I'll make that motion.
Go to the council meeting for formal approval.
I'm not sure what does the motion of support accomplish other than just getting it on the agenda.
Gets it on the agenda.
Well, we can just get on the agenda.
If it's just doing agenda, yeah, fine.
So it's the consensus that it will be put on the agenda next,
We can
agenda.
guarantee it.
President has that authority.
Okay.
And then any advertisement that I don't know that there'd be a small increase in that. All right. That'll be on our next agenda.
If you'll send me that number, that difference, I can advertise for it for the next agenda.
All right, we'll do that.
The next item that's on here that's flagged is Mitch Bishop's subsidized pay. At some point, do we want to, but of course that's come from economic development led, so.
Yes,
Keep it
so
coming from you?
Yes, sir.
All right,
Son?
you may approach. Just slide in there anywhere. Oops,
Thank you, Mr. President, members. The
they can't hear you. They can't hear you.
I'm sorry. The proposed lit budget for 2025 is $230,000, which covers Mitch Bishop, the 5 professionals that are in the department. But just a point of fact to the council that these are just wages paid and operating funds for that. The county is not responsible for insurance or taxes, or like reimbursements that are traditional to normal employees. The department runs both part of the Office of Economic Development, and we vacillate back and forth and operate also the Redevelopment Department, which is an independent body funded by tax increment finance dollars. That has a specific budget for those activities as outlined in statute. So if anybody has any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
So in essence, you're willing to
Just, excuse me, one other point. I will say that having a GIS person is critical to our success in economic development. It's very, very important. Mike was a great asset. It's wonderful to be able to call over there and get a map and mapping and information that's behind that. It's very valuable. It also helps when we're going through things like studies in housing and studies in economic development, roadway extensions and expansion. So it's pretty necessary.
Thank you.
Good question, Mr. President. Yeah. So, when the economic development was formed, it was formed under the council that it was to be paid twice a year. It was not paid to the department.
This last year, we gave him the full amount with the caveat that he comes back in a 6-month period and gives us.
Understand, but there wasn't a department. Now we got a department. That's the difference. There wasn't. I don't have a disagreement with it, but we're forming a department. I'm just asking.
So he's still under, hang on, there's he falls under economic development lit. His funding is still under, if you go all the way back, flip back.
He's got it.
I got it.
Or you
That's what I'm
to-
asking.
right.
That's what I'm asking. What's that?
So he's under the commissioners.
Lit economic, it used to be under their TIF funds, but they found out that they can't do that legally, so the 10,000 got moved to
Okay.
lit economic development.
I understand.
It was just a matter of should this.
No, it's okay.
$220,000 that we pay for economic development is still out, is coming out of the same fund.
That's an additional line.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So for the commissioners, it'd be 72.5 is what you're proposing, and then 10 out of lit still.
That's currently the way it is, and it sounds like that's the way they're gonna.
Just asking. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So is there any other changes to 143?
I have a question.
Okay, so we do have
Three.
one other change, and that would be.
Microphone,
for the-
microphone.
Sorry. We do have one other change that would be for LaPorte County Mental Health. As you know, every single year that changes, and the state has approved a 4% increase. So we would be going from our current budget, which is $777,011 to $808,091, $808,091, and that's with a 4% increase.
The reason for my note here, and if that's the amount you want to go with, that's great, but the state levy allows a larger amount, which I would need to look up on the email.
$833,054.
What is it?
$833,054.
So that's why I asked if you wanted to do the amount that's allowed or keep it at the amount that's just 4%. If you have it as that amount, then it comes in on the levy, otherwise it just shortens the levy.
As a point of additional information background here, with the levy setting process, we start with last year's levy. You're allowed to grow it by 4%. And then there's additional adjustments that can be made. There's 3 different types of additional adjustments. There's one for cumulative capital development, one for mental health, and one for developmental disabilities. And these things are in addition to that 4% increase. So it's kind of outside of it. Just to be aware of the impact of that, as you increase the levy, it does cause the circuit breaker to go up across the county as well. So it doesn't come without some little consequence to it.
And I don't think we can afford it out of the general fund anymore, any higher than what we have.
Yeah, I mean, the alternative, I guess, is doing it out of the general fund. But, well, technically, it's still coming out of the general fund. It's just the levy source is different.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we can't take, I don't believe we're at the point where we can make this decision until we finalize where our total numbers are gonna be and consider what if raises we're considering as well.
I ask you, Mr. President, could you please put this as a separate motion because I'm on the board and I have to abstain from this vote? I can't put it for, I ask him to.
This is the pass-through to Swanson Center, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm on the board, so I have to abstain. So I'm asking, can you please make this a separate vote so I can abstain from it?
Has Swanson Center requested additional funding, or are we required to produce additional funding?
All I know is I was given the number of the 4% increase is all I was given.
They usually just take whatever the increase is.
I think what we found out last year was if that company that we give to, whether it's them or someone else, if they ever came back and said we want the state allowed, we would have to do an additional appropriation for that amount, but we did not get it from the levy. But at the point where they're willing to take what we give, then there's no loss there.
That's it. At this point, we keep it at the 4%.
And do you mind telling me that amount again?
It would be $808,091.
808,091.
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't have it.
The 4%? Your nay on the 4%?
I'm sure they would appreciate more, but
What was the amount last year?
$771,011.
777,011. What's on here?
All right, anything else on your, you want to talk about?
President, can you ask for a vote, please, on that?
This is on
You want to just add on that one?
Yes, sir.
Oh, it's,
Let's,
Justin, did you want to make
want to make a motion on that?
on that one line?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to increase it by 4% to the $808,191 that they requested.
workman's comp.
Motion by Justin,
Second.
seconded by,
No, mental health.
just on, we're going to take a vote. Is there any other questions just on the mental health increase?
30072 account.
Yes.
Is there any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Abstain, please.
All right,
We're gonna have to find that money.
anything else?
Everything else is gonna stay the same.
Rich, would you like to bring up about someone's getting ready to retire?
Again.
Yeah, George, this thing that really is gonna retire, George Watkins, for sure. His wife even said he's gonna retire, so I know we're good now. He's part-time, but as you know, for the veteran service officer, there's a lot of training. I mean, Ed has been in since first of the year, and he still has to check with George sometimes, and even with Joe. Joe's been helping us out, Joe Golick. So there is an amount of training that you go, and they have to get certified by the state. So it's a process where we're gonna bring in a part-time guy to share the office with either the part-time or the full-time guy to learn the job and then to get certified. So I don't know how soon you want to start this to put out an application.
What's the recommendation of time that they need?
Well, according to George, they need about 6 months.
Is that,
You'd be paying another part-time guy in addition to the one part-time and one full-time. But if you look at, like we've done this before, how much money the veterans benefits for the county amounts to.
returned?
Yeah, like $32 million. So it's a good investment for what we pay our VSO. But we'll need to advertise and then get an applicant, and have a guy, who we're gonna pick. And then, because part-time, not to be critical, but part-time job for what we pay, it's gonna be hard to find somebody that, it's gonna have to be like a retired guy or something, to be able to work this job part-time for the county.
Your line item that for the VSO officer, that's just the full-time. That's just your full-time guy.
Yeah.
And then the other one's being paid out of part-time seasonal. Do you have, how's that looking for the year?
We're gonna have to come back before the
For
end
more
of the
money?
year. Yes, we are.
So I just wanna know when we can go ahead and advertise for a part-time VSO.
2 years ago.
And, pardon me?
2 years ago.
So right now, if we go ahead and do a 3-month training period, we're looking at $4,752.
For how
And
many
that
months?
would fund us for 3 months.
George is leaving.
$1,650.
When's George leaving? The first of the year?
Right.
Did we do some
The end of the,
training?
yeah,
We did cross-training before.
end of this year. Mhm.
And the thing is that we do pay to send them to a seminar, and they go out and we pay for the hotel, travel, everything. And I don't believe, are we gonna have another training from now to the end of the year? That's not.
He can get the training whenever he wants.
But is there
They
a
have-
seminar coming up where we're gonna?
Yeah, they
be
have an
able to send
annual
them
training
to?
that's coming up, and I don't know when that's coming up.
So, I guess it would be how soon what is an appropriate time prior
How about if
part-time to
we
bring
want
it
to
in?
add that to our next month's agenda?
Okay.
Is that, so with a week,
Because you're looking to start this year still.
Right.
This isn't,
This
this wouldn't
he
be
would have to
available
be
until
started-
2025.
September, October, November? No.
Probably October.
Yeah, probably October.
All right. So we'll add that to the agenda? Good with that? Right, okay. Just give me a thumbs up, Tim. There we go. No, I know you guys were talking.
To the agenda for the VSO for the.
Yes, yes. Possibly starting in October.
$752.
So we have to wait till after your meeting before?
$4,000. Okay, I didn't hear it correct.
$4,752.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
All I heard was the 472.
Do a motion of support today to let them advertise.
Well, it's not gonna start till October.
October.
Might take them 3 months to find somebody.
Right, you're right.
Motion of support, is that a motion, Earl?
I'll make a motion to, motion of support, let them advertise for that spot.
Second.
Motion and a second. Motion by Earl, seconded by Mr. Mollenauer. Motion of support to start the process to find a part-time VSO officer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Anything else with the commissioner's budget?
Yeah, some questions on the different withholdings here. I wanted to make sure that we've got the numbers dialed in so that it'll cover the full cost for OASDI, Medicare, retirement.
Need to
Are
bring
we?
the auditor's attention.
Hello. Question for you guys. Checking to make sure that the numbers for OASDI, Medicare, and retirement are all dialed in to cover the full cost that we're anticipating next year for those.
Less than the amounts spread out.
I think so. I don't think so because some of the changes that happened in here, for example, not that it's a big difference, but LADS is now out of the general, so that's going to be another addition. I think I know I ran a sheet for the total of the 100 accounts, and I think that they're a good difference off, to be honest.
Okay, so those are going to get revised again probably before the end of this budget process.
I can
just so that
definitely
it
come up
fully
with a number
covers
to
the cost.
recommend and see what works, but yeah.
Okay.
And just so you're aware, I know it's in us, but we're not the ones
I
that
know.
run those numbers. It's actually payroll that runs those
Naturally,
numbers.
yeah.
The only other thing that I will tell you that, and we run over every single year, is our postage.
That was next on my list.
And that, I believe, we ran probably about 150 last year. We went over the year before that. We went over the year before that. And it's always been the consensus that they
It just
do
went
not
up again.
raise the amount, and that we come back to you and we just talk to you about where we're at and what we need.
What do you think that number needs to be?
Realistically, if we could jump it up to like 140, and we would probably still be coming to you roughly between 5 and 10,000. But
Did we ever get clarification on when the clerk sends out court documents? Those court, if I'm not mistaken, the court document, that cost of the certified
correct.
gets added to the court docket and that's supposed to be returned.
So it's my understanding what happens is that when they're sending out the certified mail, they're actually taking it out of their budget. It goes to the auditor's office and gets dumped into the general fund. Then when it gets dumped into the general fund, it just stays there. It never really gets moved over to our postage.
That's correct.
And that's what ends up happening. So if there was like somehow where in the auditor's office they could keep track of like what those dollar amounts were, we would probably not have to raise it to 140. We could actually take whatever the surplus that's being put in there, instead of going into a general fund, it would actually go into a postage fund, and then that would be added to the commissioner's postage. And then we
Make that a non-reverse.
I'll tell you the problem with that, if you don't mind, but that's the correct way to think about it, because then you would feel good about doing the appropriations.
So could we make that a non-reverse, but you'd have to be able to
But
capture that.
what I was going to say is, the problem with that theory is the general fund is overdrawn all but 2 months of the year. So an appropriation from the income to their 1,000 account
Very much so.
would be denied by the state because the funds are negative. So the
But what if we made it a non-reverting fund, but I don't know how we capture that from the court? I mean,
yeah. If you made it, if there was an ordinance to make
Right.
a 400 fund, a 4,000 fund, and it's set up that way, then their money could be appropriated.
it would
Give me 1 second.
funnel straight into there.
You could, no, their money would not funnel in, it would still be, it would still be budgeted where it is, but the deposits could go into that new fund and then be used and not have to be,
Something to talk about.
that could happen actually quite
Okay, so
easily.
140 is kind of the number you were thinking. So
And I'm still gonna tell you, for the last 3 or 4 years, that would actually lower the amount we would be coming back for
Yeah,
to
close the gap.
roughly between less than 10,000.
that's closer.
Capturing those payments that are being,
Legal fees, it looks like you're more than halfway through that. What's
Yes.
the feeling
And
there?
we're halfway through the year.
Yep. Feeling like that needs to be increased? What's the feeling there?
Again, that I don't feel uncomfortable coming back to you based on, and the whole thing is our legal fee is up, but right now we've got close to a $50,000 bill that hasn't been paid. So that's sitting out there that would have normally been deducted off of this, and it's not.
This amount isn't.
And so currently in the hopper, or amounts that we have out that should be paid, is $60,872.95. Would that include that 40, that's not including the 40?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's another, sorry, what was that number again? 60,000?
$60,872.95. And
That's
so
waiting to go out the door.
that's ready, yeah, waiting.
So that would take us to 221 right now that are allowed at 240.
But that's okay.
So those are areas you
Come back.
you anticipate being tied in or short in. So,
Yeah. And that's something that we come back at the end of the year for, every year.
okay. All right.
Question on workman's comp. I was noticing this one is listed as 0. We pay something for that, right?
We don't use that account.
That
It
account,
shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Okay. Where does it come out of instead?
The workers' comp is.
It's included in one of the insurance.
Is out of, the workers' comp is out of the 30068 or 67.
liability.
67.
Right.
Okay. And
Invoices come out of the 68.
So-
That account should never have been
So-
used.
Why is it that we can't eliminate that account?
if it's not gonna be used, it can be
We
removed.
need to zero it out, or at least just
It's already zeroed out.
We need to get it off.
so
put
the
on
release.
our thing so that somebody doesn't accidentally pay a bill out of it.
Flag it as do not use.
Yeah.
Just kind of flag it or
And I think we
It'll
do
be
have
ready
a
to-
flag
What?
currently, don't we?
Use it.
just so that.
Liability accident insurance premium, looks like year-to-date expenditure 1.1 million, and the amount that was adopted was $500,000. How does that check out?
But Justin, at the beginning of the year, there was some carryover from the prior year, so if we can avoid that,
Is that number going to cover everything that's going forward?
We can't predict how much we're gonna use. I mean, unfortunately, those are items that we just can't predict.
This is the premium one, not the claim pool, right? So
Oh,
those
the
are
claim?
those are more predictable, aren't they?
Sometimes.
yeah,
The claims we have, our rates are gonna go up.
I don't think it's fully budgeted for what you owe is the problem, truthfully. I think
And
it
I
was
know
a
we
good,
had to
didn't we
come
figure
a
out it
few
was a
months
good
ago.
500 or more short?
Yes.
Can we get a closer number on that so that the budget encapsulates all those costs?
can we get it from the insurance company like they did last year?
Yeah, a breakdown would be great so we can see like what all's going
I thought
into
we
it.
had one, and I'm sorry, we didn't ask for it in advance.
Where's the other one I was looking at? Back to the first page. Employee group health insurance. And I think this is going to come up a little bit more later, but after this morning's conversation with GIS, it's pretty clear this number is just too low.
We would argue it needs to be closer to $10 million, probably.
Well, again, we weren't invited for that workshop, so, I mean, whatever.
It wasn't a workshop.
open.
It wasn't a workshop. It's just
Presentation.
open. They called and just said, hey, for budget, we're just
Yeah.
gonna give you a number.
But maybe we can have a workshop on that.
Absolutely.
If you want to take a picture of they gave a one-page handout. They gave the estimate. There's not much to it, but
That's okay.
What was the amount that they
So what do you think, what are you predicting then?
You can have mine.
well, it's complicated because there's more pieces of information we don't have. But
And this is also.
what they told us is that
So
they're
it might be a good idea to have a workshop on that and have
absolutely
back.
So the number that they gave us on this sheet here just shows that they're expecting a 3.2% increase to the UMR estimate and the Berkeley stop loss carrier costs.
That's the next
But that doesn't include the clinic. It wouldn't include reimbursements, and it wouldn't include a bunch of other things. So this does not tell us the full picture, but
My question.
definitely more than 6.8 million.
My question is to make sure that they don't get under budgeted. Are we talking about two different things? For example, this 6 million is the technical amount that is the employer's 85%. So I'm assuming that needs to increase because we know the funds are higher, but that doesn't take care of, that has nothing to do with those other things that are in 4,700. So this is one amount, and then 4,700 is really a much larger amount.
Yeah.
Well, the bottom.
It's probably this.
Well, it's pieces of that, or what's missing from that kind of. So to make sure that you don't get shorted.
Let's move on.
Yep, and you're
Right.
correct, the other one,
There's such a large portion of it. That's why
I know.
I don't disagree with you. Where are we gonna?
But it's also spread out in so many other accounts. It's hard unless you have a list of all those accounts and
What
it's
do-
spread out.
What do we want to do with the commissioners' 200 and 300 accounts? Just so we
Motion
can
to
discuss
approve
that.
with the increases and with the increase, there's only one increase on here, in the 300 accounts, and that is to the mental health with that increase at 808,091.
Since we already have a motion on the
Which
motion to,
Which 2 or 300, I'm sorry?
We already approved.
mental
we
health.
already proved it.
One for mental health.
things,
We
so you don't
approved the
need-
mental health, so I just repeated it
So-
in the motion to include that.
Oh,
And then the postage, are we gonna leave it exactly where it's
yeah.
at for
We could
now?
leave it and just come back and,
Well, I think they were talking about 140 would probably be a more suitable number. Would you be willing to
no,
closer to it?
because I'd rather than come back, there'll be some funding available at this point. If we keep squeezing that general fund any further and we're gonna have a big hit to it, you're gonna find that there'll be no available money for raises.
Well, there won't be anyways if we're still going to have to spend that postage. Where our postage costs
It will.
won't go down just because we don't budget it. They're there. They're a real cost. Pretending they don't
I made my
exist.
motion. If you wanna amend it, then amend it.
We have a motion and a second. Do we want, somebody want to make an
I'll
amendment?
follow up on a motion to amend the postage to be 140.
And I would recommend that it be 120.
I would compromise at 120.
130.
You know, we're gonna sit you two next to each other next time so you guys can talk and then we can.
So my
postage
motion now
to
includes
120.
postage to 120 and then the increase. Okay.
I'll accept the second.
Okay, I'll
right.
withdraw my amendment.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Thank you.
In-house budget.
In-house printing.
Okay.
Yes,
Stay the same.
that stays the same.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum. Second by Mr. Yagowski. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Last one, no, second, go into economic development lit.
Did that
This is the, Mr. Reardon and Mitch Bishop. You don't have to get up. You don't have to
Motion
get
to
up.
approve.
Motion by Mr. Rose.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Cunningham. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Last one is the group health insurance fund,
Mr. President, I suggest that we table this until we get the Bank 6 study.
that we hold this. Correct?
Yes.
Second on the table.
And I kind of like the commissioner's recommendation of doing a workshop to hold.
Just hold it. Did you hold it or table it?
You changed to a hold, didn't you? You want a table? You want a table?
You know what? I said the word table, but I'll pull it back to a hold.
I'll agree
And
with that.
maybe we can discuss for a moment, but I don't want to discuss too long.
All right, so we're gonna hold that over.
And a workshop will be great when it comes available, because it's the only way we're all gonna figure it all
We'll
out.
start
Yeah.
planning one
We'll
right
set something
away.
up so we can do that all at one time.
Yep.
All right, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
And we'll have the other thing.
Right, we're gonna take a quick lunch break.
No, we're not taking a break.
People hanging.
What are you talking about?
I'm sorry.
They were scheduled.
I was inviting you to, I didn't see.
I'm sitting here for 45 minutes.
We're usually the quickest and easiest.
Blessings from you.
Right.
Thank you.
I apologize.
147.
Steve Irick isn't here, so, that's the problem. He only recognizes one.
Yeah, you got no attitude, you got a problem, number one hour.
That's because the reason I'm giving you guys a copy of this, because we have a problem. As you see, we were in violation. The commissioner's attorneys have not been paid in 6 months. We're gonna already approve interest, and we're lucky if we don't get sued over this.
Right,
Acting without authority.
got it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. So adult probation.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
He doesn't care. Thank you for coming and being here.
140.
At least somebody can say that.
First one, 100 accounts, Randy.
First one's 100 accounts, so we're holding that over, so 147 is on a hold.
What number is that?
47.
What is this?
Yeah, there it is.
Ignore it.
Go to 1170,
100 accounts.
100 accounts.
Hold.
100 accounts, the next one too, so.
Hold on the problem-solving court, because it's the 100 accounts, which is payroll and all that. So that's understand.
All right, so
Then we get to adult probation supplemental fund, 2102, the big conversation.
All right.
There's 3 items that you have increased. If you can focus on giving us why the increases, and I think that will help us.
I think most of you know, it comes out of our user fee fund anyway, so it's not taxpayer budgeted.
We got it.
Training, we've been just hitting some more nationwide ones. We have more employees than we've had, than we used to.
Good explanation.
It's just gone up. The cost of it's gone up for sure. Professional services is a person that we contract with to write pre-sentence investigations,
Okay.
and that has gone up.
Good.
And the office supplies, there was something.
Oh, we're just seeing some increases with the economy, the way it's going, and increases in costs.
You think it's all the supplies for all the courts?
No, it's
Or
just
just
for
probation?
probation for the supplies, but sometimes we will get some supplies if the courts ask for it, and then that comes out of the money that we appropriate for them.
the thing that's kind of a red flag there is you've got 29,000 expended of an $80,000 budget, and we're over halfway through the year.
And you're asking for
And
20,000.
now you're asking for more.
We just foresee some more expenses probably next year coming up with different
It's
kinds
all
of
out of our non-reverting, so I mean, if you decide not to do it, and we
That's
run low, we
any-
just come and ask for more to be appropriate.
Correct.
But
So if you need to on the office supplies, that's fine.
We have to ask our due diligence questions. That's,
Sure.
please understand.
100% agree.
Anybody want
What's
to
your
change
pleasure?
anything? If not, I'll make a motion to approve as is.
As is with the 20,000 in office supplies?
With all these increases, 3 increases, yeah.
All right.
you may know that we do occasionally, if the courts need something, we provide it. That if they've run out of their budgetary funds, they'll come to us. So I think they've tapped us pretty good this year, so that might be also the reason for the increase.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Karanka. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
I know.
I do have one question.
And there's no questions.
We're at lunchtime, so I don't know what you're talking about. No,
Okay.
no, sir, no,
What's
please.
your question?
You said you're not gonna deal with 100s, and I understand that you never do at this point.
You didn't have anything you put in for?
We were actually asking for less in one category, and I didn't know if that would lead to questions down the road. Probably never if we're asking for less.
It's probably due to a changeover in personnel.
Well, one issue, and I just want clarification on where we need to proceed, and maybe Steve knows this, I just do not. We had put in for Jamie to be reclassified. At the same time, I think Diane, and then that kind of all went by the wayside, like we're not entertaining that, the personnel committee or whatever. So last year we put in more thinking that she may be reclassified. So where do we go from here? Is it back before the personnel committee that we need to make those requests?
So we didn't see anything from,
We tabled it.
No,
at
she was
a
part of the one that got put on hold
Right.
because of waiting for training. And so they just never brought it back up. So really, it should have gone when.
probably needs to go back in front of, so I'd put it in front of Monique in order to bring it back in front of the personnel evaluation committee. That way it gets knocked out before we go through and look at 100 accounts, and that way we
Yep.
get it in order for.
All of our support staff, just for a real quick, and I won't hold you up for lunch much longer, but Jamie has, all the grants that you know that we've gotten recently for drug court, she manages all of that. She just does a lot more, I don't want to say a lot more, but she's at Steve's beck and call, which is worth that in itself, right? But she handles
Yes,
all.
we understand.
Yeah.
So, I know it's not necessarily your decision at this point, but I just wanted to put a plug in.
we
for her,
appreciate
that
it.
She definitely deserves.
Keep up the good work.
And this is a great time to bring it up too, so.
Great.
Great,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna take a quick break.
Dave.